Hey guys, DJ here. In lieu of our normal episode this week, we decided we were going to share some of our exclusive Patreon content with you of our gameplay of Candela Obscura. It was run by Danil, and we had an absolutely fantastic time. If you listen to our Candela Obscura episode, you've already heard bits and pieces of this, but this is going to be the full uncut episode. So we hope that you enjoy it and that it inspires you to check out our Patreon, and thank you for the support in advance.
All right. Do we need to go through the base mechanics of the game? And that would be
Yes, please.
Yeah.
What about the setting?
The setting just minorly.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you didn't submit any of your personal sort of lines, so I assume that everything that's in the list is okay. You're okay with, and you don't have anything else to add. Okay. So. This particular horror session is pretty mild. There's nothing like extreme here that you would not expect in a crazy horror game. But generally, the setting is post-war, so there's references to like the war, loss of life, and PTSD. So people who, so for example, Will, I think you're playing a soldier, right?
Yes.
So, for example, you would know that there was a war rather recently in this world, and the Fairlands, the New Fair nation, won that war due to advances in technology, electric and otherwise. So, electricity is a rather new thing. It's a kind of a new and volatile and dangerous technology at the moment. So, this is a roughly turn of the century equivalent of our own world, but it has magic in it, which is dangerous. So that's a little bit about the setting. The most of the game takes place either in New Fair or in the Fairlands, that being the areas around the city of New Fair. New Fair is a turn of the century industrial city built on the ruins of another city called Old Fair. And you might have picked up on the weird language that the game has. It's like very to the point. And that's sort of a signature of the Newfarian language, is that it is very direct. So if something's like a spiky mountain, it would be called a spiky mountain on the map and stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of a quirk of the language. And the city of New Fair is what you would imagine an industrial city in turn of the century, but because it's built on the ruins of Old Fair are ruins because the alchemists of the old were experimenting with dangerous magics, which at some point, with the growth of their experiments and venturing into the unknown, caused a near apocalyptic event, burying the city and sort of wiping it off the face of the earth, and as well as creating a chasm in the ocean. New Fair was built on top of that, and so there's still some interactions with the Newfarian ruins and artifacts of old that slip into our modern world, creating what we call thinnings. And thinnings are places where the border between our reality and other dimensions is thin. As I said, peculiarities of the Nefarian language. This is a thin border, so it's called a thinning. And everything that's behind the thinning is called the flare. Let's kind of think about it as like the multitude of various dimensions. And through these thinnings, the various horrors of other worlds seep into our world, and you'll be playing as members of Candela Obscura, an ancient order dedicated to defeating these incursions and stopping them and protecting your world.
Okay.
quick tip on Craig: you can server mute him so that he doesn't scream into everyone's
Really?
ears. Yeah.
Oh man,
Yes.
that is really good to know. My players love to yell at Craig though, so
Yeah. Every time I say, okay, let's get Craig in, they say, well, look, welcome, Craig. And
Oh, we abuse Craig.
yeah,
He gets an earful. Like, don't
every
jump
time.
into the channel already talking. Like, wait a second, you're interrupting people. You know.
A thorough scolding is due.
Yes.
Oh
All right.
man.
So that's a little bit about the setting of the Fairlands and the new fair. We're not gonna go into very much details. The technology is roughly turn of the century. Electricity is new. There is gas lighting. There is electrical lighting, which is more air. There are trams, and like there's this new things that are coming into the world.
Okay.
When it comes to religion, there is one central religion called the Ascendancy, and then there are various cults and like smaller religions. The police is called the Periphery, and they are, as you would expect, not very nice people. Generally regarded as the most violent gang in New Fair. They're in power, but they're also not very nice. They're also in no way equipped to deal with anything supernatural. There is a special agency, however, government agency called the OUB, and they deal with the supernatural, and they're kind of rivals to the Candela Obscura, because the general purpose of OUB is to keep magic a secret and just sweep everything under the rug and be done with it. Whereas Candela wants to actually protect the people instead of just, going Men in Black pressing the flashlight and people forget what happened. There is quite a bit of class inequality in the setting for various reasons. But that's just kind of a reality that people live with. The New Fairlands are ruled by the what's called the Triumvirate, and that is the Ascendancy that I mentioned, which is the religion, the Periphery, which is the law enforcement, and the Primacy, which is the actual government, which is similar to like a parliament with a prime minister. We're not gonna go deep into much of this. The only thing I'm going to mention is that there's a big university in the district called the Briar Green, which is where our game will be taking place today. And the Briar Green is like a big campus area, sort of on the outskirts of the city, with its own campus, with some mansions, some student housing, some libraries, and such. It's kind of like its own district. This is where we'll be playing today.
Okay.
Awesome.
When it comes to the game mechanics, I think it's easier to go through them if we just have a quick look at to your character sheets, and we'll just go like left to right, top to bottom.
Okay.
So the base system is that of d6 dice pools. So you are going to be rolling pools of d6s, and if you have ways to increase your pools and ability to help each other on those. Whenever there comes a moment in the fiction that we need to resolve that is uncertain, we make a roll, right? And before we make a roll, we determine two things. One, what are the stakes? Are they high, low, or just medium, normal? And the stakes are important because they determine the outcomes. So that's the first thing we decide on, right? We sort of say, okay, how is this a high stakes roll, or is this just moderate stakes or low stakes? Then we talk about sort of expectations, just to make sure that, and most of the time I think we'll be on the same page. But if you're unsure, or maybe I didn't communicate well enough the situation, and you think that your action might be better suited for the task than it actually would be, I would then say, no, but this, just to be clear, this will work this way. Like if you're trying to shoot down a helicopter with a pistol, it's not going to work. Or it might work, but to very limited effect.
I have really good aim.
I foresaw it working, so
Yes. And then once we have established the stakes and possibly the expectations, we determine which action you're actually going to take. And usually it's kind of a dialogue between yourselves and I, where we say, well, you have sort of on the character sheets, it says the 3 actions under each rating. It says like, this is roughly what it does. Some of them will be like maybe more loosely fitted, and sometimes there are several approaches to the same problem. Like you can, as we all know, you can break the door, you can lockpick it, or you can just try and open it. And based on that, the effect might be different, the outcome. And then finally, I'll tell you, okay, so we agreed this is like this stakes roll, this is this action, go ahead and roll. And this is where you actually make a roll. And to do that, you go to your sheet, you click on the on one of the 3 peeps that's next to your action rating. It will pop up a little window, and it will show you how many base dice you have. And then you have an ability to spend a drive.
Mm-hmm.
To add dice to your pool. And you can spend as many drives as you wish. You get 1 extra die per drive spent. There is an ability to help your allies. So any of your ally at any moment can spend their drive and give you an extra die. They can only spend 1 and give you 1 die as an assist. You have 3 drives: nerve, cunning, and intuition. And an amount of predetermined drives available to you, and you'll spend them. And the question that comes naturally then is, how do you regain them? So as you see, there is little diamond symbols next to some of your actions. For example, for soldier, it's move and strike, and for the journalist, it will be sway and survey. Those are called gilded actions. And once you roll your action, one of your dice will be different. It will be a gilded die. You may, at any point, choose, or after seeing the result of the roll, you may choose to take the result on the gilded die, regardless of the results on other dice. And that's the result we go with, but then you regain a drive. So now I think is the natural time to introduce what the dice rolls actually mean, right? So we have collected the pool of dice, we have determined the stakes, we rolled in action, we have rolled, let's say, 46.
Mm-hmm.
Now we look at the results, and we look at all of them, and we take the highest across. So it doesn't matter how many 1s you have, 3s, etc. We'll just take the highest across the entire pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the default. And then on 1, 2, and 3, that is a failure. On 4 and 5, that is a mixed success or partial success, which means you do manage to do the action that you set out to achieve, but there's a consequence. Maybe you take some damage, maybe narrative gets worse, maybe the next action you are going to try to attempt will be higher stakes because you have caused the situation to get worse. Maybe the time constraint speeds up, etc. There's some sort of consequence. The harm that you take from failing or partial success will be determined by the nature of what you're trying to attempt, what you're dealing with, the phenomenon. So, for example, getting into a duel would be a body, and experiencing psychological stress would be a brain, and then dealing with the fallout from magics would be bleed. And those are the marks that are under your actions. And I'll tell you how many marks you'll take from that, from failing a roll.
Okay.
Once you get 3 marks in any, so once you fill the marks counter on your sheet, you gain a scar. Your character falls unconscious in the scene. If there is a dynamic scene, there's action going on, they will be essentially unconscious and will need help to get up and get back into action. If it so happens that we are out of action, you'll be okay. You'll manage to just move on, but you'll have this moment where you'll have to pause.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel 3 marks in any of the 3 categories, you gain a scar. Once you gain a scar, your character falls unconscious. Once they get up, you take 1 dot from any of your action ratings and put it into a different one, describing to us how this experience affected your character. Should I give you an example, or is this like more or less straightforward?
I think that should be pretty straightforward. Once we start getting into rolling, I think it'll be pretty cemented in.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
This will
So-
make a lot of sense when we actually start rolling. Yeah, go ahead.
So like, I would take a circle off of move and put it to sway or something. Is that what you mean?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So, for example, you were in a fight that you were trying to escape from, and as you get up after getting knocked down, you think to yourself, maybe the next time I'll just try to talk my way out of it. And so you change from move to sway.
So it's like
That's
you
cool.
choosing to approach things in the future differently.
Basically, yeah, it affects, like, you change your personality a little bit, or
Yeah.
your approach
Okay.
to a situation.
Now, I'm not saying that I'm interested in doing this, but
Mhm.
as a GM that's had problematic players, what? Could somebody just keep moving the same point back and forth,
How do you mean?
like over the course of getting scars? I get. Well, do you die after 3 scars?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say they could just bounce these points around, no consequences. No consequence is death.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So,
And it's
you
more.
only
So this
get
is a
so
more
many.
episodic kind of game too. So when do marks normally, if you were running a full campaign, when do those kinds of things reset?
Great question. That will be between sessions. So right now we're not going to go into too deep into the circle mechanics, but typically at the start of the game, we would, before even making your characters, we would start with creating your circle. That is to say, your crew, your organization, your cell of Candela Obscura.
Okay.
We'll pick the special ability. We'll distribute resources that are available to clear the different kinds of your marks. So like some let you gain drive back, some let you clear some marks, and
Yep.
and also a circle gives you a special ability, and you have an illumination track, which is essentially an experience track, right?
Mhm.
And after each assignment, we would go through what you've done during the assignment, and what's it called? Just fill the track. We'll answer some questions, elimination questions, and fill the track. We're not going to do this for this one. I just gave you a circle ability to all of you, which is called In This Together, with the assumption that you're coming into this as people who know each other from before. And I've kind of left this up to you. So if you haven't thought about it, you can start thinking about it now. But also, it's not like a big deal.
Yeah.
And then you have your character special abilities that are on the left under your sheet, on the lower part of your sheet.
Yeah.
You have 1 from your role, 1 from your specialty, and 1 from your circle. And then, as you would in a campaign setting, as you would level up your character by improving your circle, right? You would gain new abilities here. You also might see that there is a list of gear on the right. And I don't know if you have played Blades in the Dark or games like that.
I've heard about them. I haven't played them
No.
yet. That's on our list.
Okay. Well, I do run those as well.
Sweet.
Yes. So the gear works similarly, and I like to explain it in the same way it's explained in Blades in the Dark. Your characters, your investigators, are competent, smart. They've dealt with these issues before. They know how to prepare. So instead of painstakingly thinking, "Oh shit, what might I bring to this mission?"
Right. They would
just-
have already thought of it, but we as players don't have to.
Exactly. So
Perfect.
when a moment comes during the game where you think, "Oh shit, I could really use a weapon right now," and then you say, "Okay, well, I'll pull out my rifle," and then as a soldier you get, your heavy weapon, and we say, "Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
it's like
sure,
the,
of
oh, I
course it
didn't.
makes sense."
Yeah, I didn't buy the 5 gold,
Mhm.
really long rope when I was at the start. Darn, we don't have rope. No, it's like, not. We have rope, right? Okay, yeah.
The only limitation here is that you have 3 gear slots per assignment.
Okay.
So once you have marked off 3, you don't have access to any more gear. That's all your preparation.
Okay.
Now, is that limitation only put on like directly mechanical kind of gear, whereas like there's other just like assumed like role playing in character, like, oh, my character has some tarot cards because I'm a weird or something like that. Like there's that kind of stuff. But you mark it off, like it validates being marked off as gear if it has like if it's a grappling hook, if it's a smoke bomb or something like that.
Correct. Yes.
Okay,
so
cool.
anything that gives you mechanical benefits. Handkerchief smelling of your beloved would not take up your gear.
Gotcha.
All right. And then actually to the point of elimination keys. Now that we've brought this up, right, just to get it out of the way. So at the end of the session, we would typically go through your elimination keys, and you can during the session as well look at them and sort of remember, this is how I am supposed to act as this type of role and specialty. They're at the top right of your character sheet. So for journalists, for example, you have gather information, and for soldier it's use violence of action, protect someone, act tactically. For medium it's connect with a supernatural, sense something, sense a phenomenon, or
make a scene.
Yeah.
Right.
So these are sort of both role-playing tips as well as experience points.
Right.
So that's a kind of one of the things about these systems, both Forged in the Dark engine and this engine that it's built on, is that XP is directly correlated to playing your character instead of just being arbitrary slaying monsters. XP from everyone's favorite dragon game. You run Cypher, right, DJ?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's more like Cypher.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Except this system also gives you sort of guidance on how to acquire XP. All right. I think that's everything when it comes to your character sheets and mechanics. Do you have any questions? Oh, there's one more thing I forgot. Sorry.
Go for it.
There's a thing called resistances that you might see on the bottom under your actions. There is resistance, and there might be a couple of triangles or 1 or 0 next to that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So question number 1, how do we measure those? How do we get those? You have, for each 3 drives in nerve, cunning, or intuition, for each 3 drives, you have 1 resistance. So you can see that, for example, on soldier's sheet, you have 6 nerve drives and 2 resistances in nerve. For journalist, you have 6 in cunning and 2 resistances in cunning. And then the one you have less than 3, that's 0 regardless. For example, on the medium sheet, you have drives 2 in nerve, but 0 resistances because it's not equal to 3. So it's measured in 3s. And then resistances, how do they work? Whenever you make a roll and you see that the results are not as you had hoped they would be, you can say, I would like to spend a resistance. And then you re-roll the amount of dice that is equal to your action rating. Any additional dice that you have spent on the roll, you don't re-roll. Only the action rating rolls.
What's the action rating again?
Action rating is how many peeps you have next to each of your actions.
Okay, got it. So that's the number of d6s that you roll on it. And so you're saying if you have a resistance in it,
Mhm.
what do you expend to use that? Is that just always on? Like
You,
that's
you spend the resistance. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So you spend the resistance to
Mhm.
then essentially re-roll the 2 pips that you have in that skill.
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly how it works.
And that resistance refreshes every encounter, or when does that?
After a session, between sessions.
Oh, okay. So
Mhm.
that's a high
Have
commodity,
value. Yeah, it is. So this is typically saved for high stakes rolls.
right?
So if you have 0 pips into one of those skills, or
Yeah.
you don't get a dice to roll them for it, correct? So like if
Not
I want to
really.
use sway,
If you want to use sway and you have 0 peeps in it, that means you roll 2 dice and take the lower result. Essentially, you roll 2
okay,
with disadvantage.
Gotcha.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
Then, even so, your characters are generally pretty competent, right? But rolling actions that you're not really trained in gives you only like a 25% chance of success. However,
Yeah.
by just pushing yourself a little bit and spending some drive, you can improve your odds significantly, going from 25 to 50. And if you push yourself or spend 2 drives, you suddenly at 75% chance of success.
And
Right.
drives give us additional dice equal
Right.
to the number of drives we use.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like easing the roll from Cypher and using effort and stuff like that.
Yes, very similar.
Cool.
Perfect.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Very cool.
All right.
I'm excited in the interview section to see how this differs from Blades in the Dark, because it all sounds very similar. Again, I haven't played either yet,
Mhm.
and I know that's been a critique levied against Candela. I know they've also addressed it, so I'm excited to hear about that from a GM's perspective too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you want to get that out of the way now? Because I have an
Sure,
opinion.
yeah.
Okay. So my opinion is that the same critique can be applied to Blades in the Dark in reference to Powered by the Apocalypse games, because
Yeah.
that's the engine, the father engine of the Forge in the Dark games.
Right.
And I've actually seen, angry Redditors raving about how PBTA is basically Forge in the Dark. And it's the same thing. Like innovation, they
Yeah.
reference Forge in the Dark engines as great influence, and it is. Gameplay-wise, these two games are completely different. Where Candela Obscura is much more narratively closer to a game like a Call of Cthulhu, for example. Yeah. It's a slow burn escalation horror game, or like Alien RPG, where things just get up. There's slow tension breaker, but it keeps going up. Slow tension breaker, boop, boop, boop. And then it's just like a brewing investigation game where your stakes and your suspense increases throughout the game. Blades in the Dark is very much about just jumping into action. And it's very much back and forth narratively, whereas Candela is more linear. And so Blades in the Dark is all about using your flashbacks and sort of jumping back and forth, keeping preparation, right? So you go from free play where just roam around, suddenly you're in a heist 3 weeks later, and everything between that we fill with flashbacks. And sort of that is reflected with the gear mechanics, with the flashback mechanics, and you can like flash back to downtime. There are so many cool things you can do in Forge in the Dark to emphasize that sort of we want to do cool shit trademark symbol.
Right.
Candela Obscura is also setting-wise very similar settings, right? You have sort of Victorian London-like city, industrial, cursed stuff, bad stuff happens, classism, all of that. Completely different narratives here as well. In Candela Obscura, you are the shield against the darkness. You are protecting people, whatever your reasons are. You might still be a complete dirtbag and protecting the people. But in Forged in the Dark, or Blades in the Dark specifically, you are fighting against the system. Because the system is as such, it's a machine. It's a well-oiled machine with massive gears. You either become part of the machine, or you get ground up into fine dust, and it spits you out, just like it spat out thousands of others. So a different premise for characters. A lot of similarities, I agree, both mechanically and sort of setting-wise, but they do play pretty differently. Plus, what is innovation without a little bit of plagiarism?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, as a GM, yep, totally agree.
Yeah.
I've stolen so many narratives and nobody knows except me.
Yeah, I didn't even know I stole one. I first wrote my very first D&D campaign. I was very proud of it. I thought it was great premise. It was like a very anti-colonialistic and stuff. I was very happy with myself. And then I described it to my partner. She said, "Oh, so basically Frozen 2." I'm like...
Incredible.
Like, ooh,
Love it.
into the unknown.
So there's that.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I definitely hear where you're coming from. No, I just have been curious about that because I know it got a bunch of flack online, but I mean, CR kind of draws a lot of ire these days for lots of random reasons. So I'm always like, okay, let's see how it is. I want to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, people just look for reasons to be angry very often, and
Yeah.
For sure.
take it out on random things.
I just want to play cool games right now.
Yeah. My honest advice would be try it for yourself, see if you like it. You'll see the differences maybe that I've described. Chances are, if you like narrative games, you'll like it. If you don't, you probably won't. There's not like crunchy tactical combat or
darn.
But we enjoy it. It's not. It's so in my community we very much prefer the Forged in the Dark games in general because of their fast pace and sort of just cool action and
Drama.
Yeah. But we also like Candela Obscura quite a bit and rate it highly. I do unfortunately have to run D&D to make ends meet, but
Right, that's how I feel right now. It's like, cool, all of my 5e games, they're filling up, but like I really want to run more Cypher.
I run a D&D game that's basically Blades in the Dark with D20 mechanics. That's it. Because it's about like super spies and a special ancient in a fantasy world in Exander. So there is. I
love that.
Yeah, it was a good compromise because I actually really enjoy how it plays. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get into the game, eh?
Yeah,
All right.
definitely.
All right. Just one more thing before we jump into the game itself. Is the structure of the game, as I have described, it's pretty sort of gradual growing, right? But it is split in scenes. We usually teleport you between scenes a little bit. And the approach to running the game is also similar to Forged in the Dark games, is that it's a writer's room, right? We together kind of write a movie that you are in, your characters are in. So everything is a discussion. We approach everything narrative first. We take these sort of step backs, talk about the table, about things like stakes and such, and often describe your characters from the third point of view. One of the things that is special about Candela Obscura is that you usually have an intro that is from third-person view that is not known to your characters, and that's just kind of a thing addressing an audience. So this is to set the scene for the players and for everyone who is participating in the game, maybe watching or listening. Then we do the actual assignment, which grows from like exploration investigation to a confrontation or climax at the end. And after that, we sort of close down with answering questions, illumination keys, answering a few questions. Have you accomplished what you set out to do? Have you interacted with the bleed? Have you contained bleed, etc.? But that's kind of it for the intro. I would love to get your names. Actually, if you do have like a short character intro, that would be absolutely wondrous.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
can go on that. If you want to get started there. Um, Henry Dyer, is a medium. Has gained a bit of a reputation, both positive and negative. But underneath the exterior of essentially starting to gain a reputation as like a con man type of medium or trick people out of their money, I stumbled into actual weirdness, encountering a bleed and this world becoming real for me rather than just like essentially something to profit off of. And like the few people that maybe are interested in the supernatural, excuse me. But Henry's made a life years ago doing that, but somewhat that reputation has been beneficial over the years where he needs to maybe be like, oh, none of it's real. Ha ha ha. But like, that's not really his approach. He's always still trying to utilize that social aspect of being weird, but publicly.
Cool. Love it. I have one question for you, and that's part of character creation in Candela Obscura as well. So this is like a moment. So what is the catalyst of your character? How did they join Candela Obscura? Why? Did something happen to them? What was the inciting incident?
Well, Henry's used to having kind of been the bad guy in a lot of people's situations where they, like come to consult Henry for, reading or something like that, like on a regular basis. And, they spend a lot of money on Henry. But, people that don't know how to hold on to their money, that's unfortunate. That's kind of his approach to it. But so there's that side he's been comfortable with, essentially that level of exploitation. It was when there was actual consequences to some advice that was given that led somebody to their ultimate demise, encountering something from probably like the ruins or the old world. And just based on like flippant advice that Henry gave while pretending to have connected to some higher entity. And yeah, as a result, they got hurt and killed, probably something along those lines. And it was guilt initially, like on that to go like, okay, maybe it can't be as flippant about this. But then went to investigate what happened to that individual, kind of found more, and probably stumbled across members of Candela Obscura through that kind of investigation about what happened to that individual.
Yeah. My character's name is Thomas Valentino. He is a reporter who, his big thing coming up was investigating corruption across the government structures and the enforcement agencies, and stumbled upon a conspiracy of this magical ness, and keeping it quiet. And as he was writing his story and bouncing it back off his editor kept telling him to leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Don't. And then he was on his way home one night when all of a sudden, black bag over the head, and found himself in a chamber where he was introduced to Candela Obscura and inducted in as a member, or unknown consequence.
Okay. So sounds good. All right, Will.
My name is Sheldon Reese Frazier. I am 45, and I joined Candela after years of working in the periphery. I wanted to do something nice and kind. They like to steal from people. There was an old lady named Carrie Malcolm, a baker, and, well, They tried to put some dirt on her because the city wanted to take control of a bakery, and I helped her out with some evidence to make sure that that wasn't a legal probability. From that, I was blacklisted from the periphery, and I didn't really know what to do. Her son, Jonathan Malcolm, has been with Candela for about 5 years. He's kind of stayed a grunt, usually pushes papers, but through that, I found a means to be able to actually help people in this city. Now, me and my family spend most of our holidays with Mrs. Malcolm and have kind of joined her extended family. I'm just here to help people out with my large girth and big muscles.
All right, I love it. What? So you're a circle of Candela Obscura, right? You have worked together before.
Mhm.
Give me a quick sort of rundown of your relationships with each other. Let's start with Henry.
Mhm. I think that Thomas and I have a bit of history. I would imagine you probably reported on me as like being a fraud years back. Not a fan of that. So there's a little bit of like unresolved stuff there where like I feel like you probably poke and prod the actual medium work that I do now.
Right, of course.
Because you know it to be real, so you know I'm not making it up, but you
Right.
likely have had some friction with me in that way. I definitely like I trust Sheldon with my life. Like this guy, like to the point of like maybe it's not as reciprocal as it should be from Henry. Like it's but Henry knows Sheldon's good for that. But yeah, I think Henry's pretty transactional in his relationships at this point. Even amongst Candela, he's probably not been the most trusting of people until he feels like he's got a thorough beat on them.
All right. What about Thomas? So we got a sort of we got Henry's view on the situation. What's yours, and how do you relate to Sheldon as well?
Yeah, so I find, obviously, as Henry stated, I find his dangerous dabbling, in, his medium work, very borderline. And of course, I keep good tabs on it, and you know like to see it, also like to watch it. But with what was your character's name again, Will?
Sheldon.
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 With Sheldon, I have an interest in for other reasons. This veteran of the war, now exposed to this world and where magic is real. I find his reactions to things very interesting, and his psyche very interesting. Kind of writing a secret a piece on the soldier in the fight against incursions.
Interesting. All right. And what about Sheldon? What's your general attitude towards your circle members?
I don't really like all of that weird stuff, but I will say that Henry does a good job of getting things done. And of course, there's always someone in a group who needs to be able to make decisions. I don't like to do that. I like to just be there for support. So having someone who is curious as Thomas helps out, they get the job done. They seem to like my croissants, and we haven't fought too much, so it's nice.
They said Microsoft for a second.
Yes, that too.
Microsoft.
Damn you, Microsoft.
That's actually what he calls his croissants Microsoft because they're small
that makes sense. That makes sense.
and they're soft. But
Small
flaky.
little pillows of love.
Oh, jeez.
All right. We jump to the opening scene of our episode. We see a small college town with a campus, sort of short 2-story buildings made of red brick. We see lots of trees and greenery, library, university buildings. All of it is overtaken by a thick fog. Through this fog and under the cover of the night, we see a lone light approaching one of the smaller cottages, very humble, just 1 story. From the fog, entering the light, with a small electric torch, comes out a man in a janitor's uniform, sort of salt and pepper hair, maybe like 50s, wearing a name tag on his overalls. Jack Coolidge, janitor. The man enters the house. You see a faint smile on his face before he enters as he peeps through the windows. And he enters and says, "Honey, I'm home." And a few moments later, we see a woman greet him with a smile. And you see his nostrils trickle a little bit as he... Is that a turkey roast for dinner?" She smiles and says, "Yes." And we move a little bit further in time as we have them sitting at the table in the living room. As I said, this is a rather small house, so the living room is right next to the kitchen, and it's all kind of just one big homey living space. And there's pictures of children, photographs of children on the walls, and various elements of decor that make it rather homey, sort of cottagecore ambience. And the custodian is excited about something. He's telling his wife about an exhibit that he was trying to help prepare for. He's talking about Professor Charles Gordon, who is about to hold a speech the day after. The speech he says, is called "On Strange Reflections," and he was helping him move this very interesting ornate mirror. And as he goes into details describing this day at work, we zoom in on the wife's face as she's sort of listening intently with like a faint smile. We can see, as it often is, that there is definitely some other thoughts going in her head in the background as she's listening and nodding along. When suddenly her expression changes to that of utter horror and shock. And as the camera moves back out, we see that the entire form of her husband ripples and melts into one puddle of reflective liquid. She stands up. We don't hear a noise as we are now looking through the window, but we see her screaming, panicking, sort of grabbing things and sort of grabbing her head. And we fade back into the fog. We see a tram, one of the last trams, pulling up to Briar Green Station. It moves through the still thick mists, separating it as a cruiser through ice. You arrive crossing into the camp line of Briar Green, the little college district with what seems to be large problems. Despite the fog, the air is chilly and leaves litter the ground as first breath of winter crawls in. You exit at the station Briar Green, the three of you. And as we observe the three investigators standing on the platform, what do we see? Let's start with Sheldon this time. Describe the appearance of your character, please.
So you see a fairly large, a little bit overweight, 45-year-old male with dark brown hair with some graying kind of on the sides of his head. He has a very, very large mustache that connects into his mutton chops. He is still wearing something that's kind of similar to what the periphery uniform is. He's a man of uniform. He likes to know what he's wearing every day. On his side is a handgun. It's the same one he's carried for the last 20 years. Yeah, nice straight starched pants, very shiny leather black boots with glasses, and you can see there's a little bit of a chain for going into his jacket pocket that probably holds a stopwatch. He cares about time quite a bit. It's very important to be punctual, especially with dealing with what we deal with.
Mm-hmm. All right. And who's standing next to him?
Thomas steps off and takes a deep breath. You see him. He is quite well put together. He's got a nice, almost like a mild tartan suit on. Lines, crisp, very well ironed, very well manicured. He is clean shaven, and he wears a matching Gatsby hat that matches his entire outfit. And he reaches into his back pocket and pulls out a small pen or a small pencil and note, and just kind of looks around and just kind of scribbles some observations of the area.
Mm-hmm. All right. And the last person stepping off the cart is Henry Dyer.
Yeah, Henry's just kind of like leaned over and is asking for a light, and as he's kind of trying to get that from from Thomas, I don't know if Thomas has light, but he's like bugging him, and then he goes kind of over to Sheldon for a light. He's like, I just need a light.
Fine. Take it. Hold on to this one.
I'm
I have
out.
two.
It's out. I just he's just kind of like annoyed, like that he is being an annoyance. And he's just wearing kind of like a longer trench coat. And like as like it would like kind of flap in the wind. You see that he's got like a really nice like lining on it. It's very like patterned, almost kind of looks like just a display of like the backs of tarot cards like throughout his coat. And he otherwise has like very clean cut for a strange medium, but he always fancied himself not so much the poor man's medium. And but he's got his hair slicked back, just pretty greasy. There's like a couple curls that keep falling down because he's got fairly curly hair, but he still puts the grease in to keep it nice and under control as it can get windy around these parts. And yeah, just like a nice white. It's a bit discolored. Like there's signs that he's not that well off, but he's trying to put off a lot of wealth. But his cravat and stuff is everything underneath his long coat, and yeah, just trying to get a light.
Mm-hmm. For a little bit of background, the three of you are here to investigate what your lightkeeper, the person who's in charge of your circle, the leader, so to speak, has put on to you the responsibility to investigate a strange occurrence in Briar Green. As Briar Green is a very well-regarded establishment with a lot of wealthy patrons, such disturbance would rather not be discovered. But Candela is more interested in the supernatural part of it, so they usher onto you the urgency of this and tell you that you have to get to the bottom of this before the OUB arrives and sweeps everything under the rug, as you usually do. So, you are probably one of the first people to arrive to the area, and as such expect little interference. You are, however, greeted with a person, greeted by a person who's this sort of gruff, stocky in build, with a very firm mustache and a furrowed brow. He's wearing campus security uniform, and he approaches you. You must be the Candela. I'm Horace Willis. I am the security officer in charge of the security on the campus. We may talk at my office. You've been warned that, or not warned, but you were given a word that the Horace is not a full Candela Obscura member, but he is he's in the know. So he's been given a word that he would be arriving, and he is willing to help you. But you do see on him that he's distraught. I would say, especially Henry, you would definitely pick it up right away, as you were good at reading people, and this is kind of used to be able to make money off of people who look like this. He's just keeping his head straight, going forward, and he escorts you to the office. As you make your way there, following Horace's lead, you step into puddles of rainwater from a late night storm that are still present and a few inches deep in places. With your keen eye, I would say, Thomas, you sort of see that one of your shoes gets a little deep into the puddle, and you shake it in frustration. You see, as the reflection ripples through the puddle, it reflects everything about the world, but also nothing. It is strangely deep and dark. It's almost disorienting for you.
Huh. So my man Horace, it's all right if I call you Horace, right?
Certainly.
What exactly is what are the details of this mysterious incident that has happened this time?
We had reports of people going missing.
Interesting. I stepped in people.
How many?
3 at the moment.
At the moment? It didn't all happen at once. So you're expecting it to continue to happen?
I'm afraid so. It's happened over the past 3 days.
Oh.
3 people have gone missing.
One a day?
Or approximately, yes. It seems to be escalating, as there was a longer period of time between the first and the second disappearance. The first missing person was Jack Coolidge, the custodian at the university. Next, we had a roommate of one of the students report him missing. An archaeology student and then finally his superior, his professor, Mr. Charles Gordon, has been reported missing.
And what ties these missing persons together? Can't imagine that this is a random occurrence.
The only thing that ties them together is these strange pools of reflective liquid, almost like what's that metal called? Mercury.
Mercury.
Yeah.
Huh. See.
So then it sounds like they're not actually missing, but they've just melted into a mirror.
Well, that would be nonsense, wouldn't it?
I don't much like that stuff, but after spending a few days with Henry over here, I come to not question too many things until I have hard evidence. So
That's surely not what happened.
I've never heard of people melting into mirrors before, and I don't think that would be the case.
That's what they said before they invented electricity. Hmm.
The world is constantly changing. Sometimes it's not
that's
the
how
new
it's
stuff
changed-
you have to worry about. It's the old stuff.
Huh. Well, I know nothing of this, but you have full access to my incident reports if you wish. Unfortunately, I've sent a couple of people from the security office to examine the scenes of the crime, but they are yet to return, and I'm starting to get worried if something had happened to them.
Do we have access to the professor's office by chance? You are campus police, so are we able to inspect his office?
Certainly. I would suggest starting with one of the three victims.
Indeed.
You
All
can
right.
you can examine the Professor Gordon's office or his house on the campus, or perhaps the um, perhaps the wife of the custodian, Mary. She moved out of her house, citing her fears for her security as a lone woman, and as such, she is staying at an inn here at a small hotel for families that visit their children on campus here and other tourists and such.
Of course.
And where did you send your men to?
I had sent one of them to the office of professor and another one to the dorm room, whereas I was attempting to interrogate Miss Mary myself, but she seemed to have strange lapses in her memory and wasn't really able to answer my questions properly.
Interesting. Well, I'm good to start with either the dormitory or, of course, the office of the professor. I would assume that if something odd is going on, it would likely have to do with the work.
Oh, so which one of your men is the least competent and that you think is probably the most likely to also turn into a... We want to make sure people are safe, so...
They're both fairly competent and have worked by my side for a long time, but so take your
Start
pick.
with Mary. I think I'd rather start with the living than the missing.
That is fair. In any case, I shall keep my post here and hope for a return of my men. And as such, if you do need me, you may find me here.
We'll be in contact. Oh, do you got a light before I leave?
I just
I'm
gave
out.
you my lighter.
I need a new flint.
It's brand new. Did you even try it?
Oh, that's yeah. Okay, no, I
Thank
forgot you
you.
gave it to me. And that it's a common problem for me.
You have 6 of mine at this point.
It's as we begin to walk off, I just trail off saying, no, it's just like the sparks don't. It's like they don't work. Like I'm ruining these lighters. It's just something
Okay.
that's happening.
Ah.
Flint tends to not work around me.
Well,
So,
shall we be off, boys?
Yeah, I think he's at the inn, the dorm. Is that where?
Probably good to, as he said, speak
with
to the
Mary.
living, the non-missing, the known variable.
You easily find your way to the bed and breakfast at which Mary is currently staying. And as you enter this two-story cottage with a restaurant, seats and tables, just a couple of them set outside that are currently sort of put together, and there's a cover over them. But you do realize they have some sort of outside dining area as well. As you enter, the bell goes and you enter the dimly lit, warm lobby, where behind the counter there's an older lady who's stands up, her eyes lit up, and as she straightens up, you realize that she barely got any taller, as she's kind of poking over the counter with only like her chest and her head and shoulders. Hello, late visitors. How may I assist you?
Ah, yes, my dear woman. We are looking for a patron by the name of Mary.
Mary Coolidge.
Mary Coolidge.
And a cup of coffee, please.
That can be certainly arranged. Sebastian, there's visitors. They demand coffee. And an older man in a leather apron stumbles out of the room from the back room. Sort of, oh, no need to yell. And the door goes. Doo, 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 doo. Oh, how many cups coffee, cream for any of you?
One black, no need to dilute it.
Like some. Could you just? Is it like a thick, like a goat's milk? Or are we talking like?
It's probably just cream, Henry. It's
Cream?
usually always cream.
Okay. Black is fine.
None for me, thank you. It makes me jittery.
I prefer black.
Understood. Mumbles to himself a little bit, turns around and goes back through the kitchen door. Swings once again a couple of times with a slight creak. The woman by the counter says, I'm Ruth, and that's Sebastian, my unfortunate husband. So you wanted to speak to Mary, but may I ask you why? She's a woman in grief, and she's. I would like for her to not be disturbed unnecessarily, because I feel for her. Her husband's disappeared, you see, and poor woman's been a wreck since then.
That's actually why
like,
we're here.
Do I feel like this individual's like, just reputationally, more like setting knowledge? How would just introducing ourselves as part of Candela be received? Is it a full secret organization, or
it is a secret organization? Yeah.
Okay, so that's not just a thing you flash.
Yeah, no, it is not.
Okay.
A normal person would probably just go, what? And then there's a chance that you might run into someone who is who wishes ill upon Candela.
Yeah, I'd like to just kind of begin to explain that we're essentially we're co-workers from the university. We all work as assistants in some of the different departments, and we're just checking on some weird information we heard about her husband, and want to make sure all the documents are just signed for compensation from the college for any of the basically. I guess he's not officially dead or anything yet, so it's not like there's like a life insurance policy to pay out. But like, it's essentially documentation that we need her to sign for the college or something like that, and making sure that she's doing all right if she knows anything about his disappearance.
I gotcha. So that will be a sway roll for me. This is a low stakes roll. Like, you're not in any danger or under time pressure at all.
Spoilers. She seemed very threatening. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm
Coffee.
just gonna roll in Foundry. What
Sure.
is that?
You currently have 0.
Yeah. So I
So
roll.
do you want to?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you want to just roll 2d6 and take the lower result?
Yep. Okay. Number. Oh, that's 6. I don't want that. 2d6. Where do I put in the 6?
So /R space 2d6 would work, or you can just click on the d6 symbol twice and roll.
I'm doing something wrong. That's sample roll. Where's the dice that I'm clicking on?
Bottom should be on your bottom right. If
I
you
don't have
expand,
one.
so go ahead and expand the toolbar on the top right.
Okay. There we go.
Got it?
Yep. Sorry.
No worries. Hey.
Okay. So
So
I got a 4, right?
yes,
To
that would
take
be a
the
4.
lower.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you rolled a 4 and a 6, and she nods along, suspiciously eyeing you, sort of up and down. Okay, you say that. Let me jot down your name real quickly so that I can check later. Do you give her a real name?
No, I would give her name of Jeff Bridges.
Okay. Mhm. Okay. So you give her a fake name as she suspiciously eyes you up and down. Okay, but let me go talk to her first.
Okay.
You see, as she waits for her husband, Sebastian, to come back from the kitchen with 2 cups of coffee for each one of you. Says, Sebastian, keep an eye on these. I'm gonna go upstairs and talk to one of our guests. And she sort of moves up the stairs and she's sort of shuffling in her little toofles with fluff around the rims. You hear her knocking on one of the doors, and the door, and then sort of whispering that you can't quite make out, unless you want to try.
I definitely would like to try.
Mhm. Okay.
What role would that be?
I recognize a fish hook when I see one.
I'm a nosy
bite.
reporter. It's my thing.
So there, in this particular case, there could be a couple of options for you to roll here. You can choose the one you're maybe better at. So it could be a hide for doing it discreetly, or it might be a survey for trying to sort of listen in on the conversation.
Probably use survey, just kind of, not make myself too obvious, but just trying to really focus on those ears,
We're at a B&B. You can walk around.
Yeah.
So let's see. And I have a gilded die in that.
Correct. So so if you spend a drive and you take the gilded result, you might get it back.
Oh, here, actually, let me go to my copy. I just realized I can't change drives on or do you see the rolls on Demiplane?
I do see the rolls, yeah.
Oh, cool. All right. It just won't let me change the drives, but I would like
Okay.
to use a drive. Oh,
Okay.
it's right there. I found it. Never mind.
Oh,
Great at
so I
this.
should go back to the one that you sent me, not the copy, and I can just roll there.
I'm gonna take that gilded die, and restore that drive. So, 4.
All right. So you take a 4, which is a partial success, so you get your drive back, and okay. So you hear bits and pieces of the conversation as they're whispering, and it's really hard. And it's like, Mary, here's a man from the university you wish to speak to you. And she says, I don't want to have anything to do with that cursed place. and it's kind of just back and forth, and she's trying with Ruth trying to convince her to let you in. And at the end, you just hear, "Fine, send them up. Keep it brief." So you don't get too much insight, but you do realize she's willing to speak to you, but she is speaking of university in a rather negative light.
Yeah. Fantastic. Love that. Ammunition.
Mhm.
All right. Hey, what'd you hear?
Oh,
What's she saying?
we should probably tell, whispering in his ear, should probably tell her specifically that we are not from the university and that we are in fact investigating against the university.
What if we're unionizing people that have been hurt by the university?
Oh, bringing them together possibly
Yeah.
for maybe a civil suit.
There
Yes,
we go.
I do like that.
Let's do that.
As
Sheldon?
you're whispering,
That's a good idea.
as you're whispering to each other, you see that the older gentleman listens intensely. What? You want a grilled cheese? I can make you
Oh.
one.
I would love a grilled cheese, sir.
Okay. Ruth, they want a grilled cheese. Put it on their tab. I'm gonna make one. He
Yes,
heads into the
yes.
kitchen.
Tab.
I don't trust that man.
He seems kind of sweet.
Sheldon kind of eyes him.
Mhm.
Okay.
Those are eyes.
Grilled cheeses.
I
Alright.
swear, if this grilled cheese has anything but cheese on it, I am going to scream. That is a melt and not a grilled cheese.
Mhm.
It's the rule.
In any case, Ruth comes down the stairs once more and says, with her lips rather tightly pressed together, and just kind of blurts out, "Fine, she'll see you." And as you walking up the stairs, the last person to walk up the stairs feels like her drilling the back of her head with her eyes intently, with the intuition of an old woman sort of ringing bells and alarms. But she is not saying anything.
Quite strange weather we're having, huh?
You're talking to her?
Yeah.
Strange weather indeed. Storms. My joints hurt when it storms.
Oh, I understand. I learned this old tip. If you rub a turnip on your joints, apparently it helps.
Mhm.
Ah.
Sebastian, do we have turnips? Is the last thing you hear as you come up the stairs and knock on Mary's door, and it opens just ajar, and you see there's a chain on the inside, like the chain lock, and carefully half a woman's face sort of looks at you intently, even through the crack in the door, sort of only seeing half her face. You see she has rather sunken eyes, like with circles around them. Her hair is a mess, and she looks a little distraught, and almost seems like she's trying to look behind you to see if there's anybody else.
This is just us, ma'am.
Okay,
Let me double check.
you're the man that Mary was talking about?
Ah, yes.
Something about insurance or something?
Ah,
There's some papers that we'd love to get you to sign, but more it's about why. The university's hurt a lot of people, and we're worried about your husband going missing. Maybe affiliated. So if we're just trying to get people together to make sure something can be done about this.
Okay, give me the papers. She sort
Oh,
of
we
extends
just wanted to talk to you about it before we. I'd like to use one of my gears to have papers,
yeah, you
forged
don't.
papers
Okay, you want forged papers? Sure.
for a gear. No, I couldn't have been prepped for that. No, we made it up a second ago. No, I'd like to make some kind of excuse, basically just saying like we wanted to make sure we were able to reach out and make a personal connection first. Then we can have everything drawn up with your names on them as well.
Consider that one of you is an actual journalist, so you can flash the credentials there and say that you're working on a case, for example. All right. In any case, that would be another sway roll for me, please. As you're trying to convince her to let you in and not just talk to you through the crack in the door.
Okay, so if I do it in demiplane, I just click on the dots.
Yes, you click on the dots and then it should show up there.
Did that work?
I don't see the result.
I just want to make sure the character's like connected to you.
Yeah.
I'm on the link you sent me.
Mm-hmm.
Did it not? How do I send it? I guess.
I should just be able to see your rolls in the window, in the roll window. But you know what? Let's just keep it simple and let's just do the Foundry roll.
That's fine. I just want to make sure I was doing it the easiest way.
Yeah. The easiest for me is Foundry generally.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have 0 in sway. So that means, do you? Would you anyone? No, I was going to ask if anyone would like to assist. Mm-hmm.
I'll assist. I'll offer. Wait, which one was it again?
You got a
It was,
6.
Sway. You got a 5 and a
Sway.
6. So
Yeah, I'll give him a drive in my in my sway.
Okay.
I cannot mark that off though.
That's okay. I'll do it for you.
Oh, perfect. I appreciate it.
No worries. I got control. So you can go ahead and roll another one. Or no, we'll just do. We'll just take the 6 because it was the first die.
Okay.
So we'll take a total success. And she sort of hesitates for a moment, you see, and she shuts the door. And a few seconds pass, and you are not sure if she's going to open it again or not. And then you hear the locks unlocking, and she opens the door and sort of hesitantly stands in the door frame, letting you pass. Okay, come in, but keep it brief.
All right, investigator.
Thank you. Of course. If you would like, you may have a seat. Of course, your comfort is our utmost priority in this time of your life right now.
You see that she had a chair pulled up to a fireplace, which has fire roaring in it. But as you enter the room, she does not feel comfortable to sit down. Instead, she comes over to her table, and it looks like she quickly shuffles a couple of papers before turning to you again. So,
well, I know that the university themselves asked you some questions. And of course, the university security and all of that. However, I just want to open this up and let you know that this can you can be a little more open and honest with us. We are going to we're not here to
Cast judgment.
pass judgment on you. In fact, we just would like to know exactly what you've seen and tell your side of the story. And of course, make sure that you're well represented.
well, can't tell you much, but this place is cursed. people go missing. They say it's just people going away, but I know it's not that. I know people are going missing, something strange.
Mhm.
I know my husband. He would not just disappear on me. We've been married for 30 years, and I'm worried sick.
Yes.
What's the last you saw him?
Well, I sent him off to work in the morning to the university's library. And he never came home, as far as I remember.
No, was your husband, and Thomas is writing all of this down in a little notebook, and he goes, "Now, was your husband working on anything that he was particularly interested in recently?"
Oh, he kept talking about that mirror exhibition with the professor. What's his name again? Sorry, I think it's the stress. I've been struggling with my
course.
memory.
Was it Gordon?
Yes, that's right, Professor Gordon. Yes, an archaeologist. Uh-huh.
A mirror exhibition. That's kind of a strange bit of artifacts to be so interested in. I mean,
Yes, it's some sort of antiquity. He's an archaeology professor, and he was interested in various antiquities. And I think they found something and were going to exhibit it. And I'm sorry, memory is not as good as it used to be.
no, that's quite all right.
Does she seem genuine with the memory gaps, or is she lying to cover up having seen something more dramatic?
Okay, why don't you make a read roll for me, please?
Great, I have that.
Mm-hmm. You have two, and
Now
one is good. Mhm.
I specifically have lie detector
Okay.
as an ability.
Okay.
So
So you would like to use yours as well?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to each make separate attempts, or do you want to one helping another, maybe, or?
What do you think there?
I think we can go separate.
Go separate? Yeah, let's go separate.
Okay.
Yeah.
The stakes here are medium.
Okay, so that means we need a 5 or 6.
That generally
Or is
means if
that-
you fail, it will be worse.
Oh,
I'm going to aid Henry. This isn't my first interrogation. I've been through many of these. So
Okay. I don't think you have a cunning drive, however.
oh no, I don't, so I cannot help.
So
You can spend another drive, but I'll ask you to describe which action you're using to help. Like, how are you using either your nerve or your intuition to help this attempt?
Using my intuition, and just I'm very focused on Mary. I've seen victims of theft.
That's right.
Family who loved ones have been murdered. And yeah, I also understand that sometimes trauma causes some other things to happen. So I've seen it before.
Are you helping Henry or Thomas? You said, sorry.
Henry.
Henry. Okay.
And then for Thomas, so it says that each for the first cunning I spend, I get +2 d6 instead of 1 d6.
Correct.
So, but I'm going to spend 2 cunning, so that way I have a total pool of 4.
So let's see. You start with 1. You get you spend 2 cunning drives, which gives you a total of 3 plus 1, 4, and then you get an assist. You have a total of 5.
Okay. So, I
wait, I think I have the assist. I don't.
Oh
think
yeah,
he's
he
at-
has the assist, not me.
Okay, yeah, my bad. So
Yeah.
He's
4.
at 4.
4. Yeah, correct.
So,
And then I'll be at 3, but I'd like to use one of my own drives to get myself up to 4 as well.
All right, sounds good.
So I should be at 3 drives after this. So let's see. I got a 3, a 5, a 5, and a 5.
So what's the highest? The
5 is
right?
the highest.
Okay.
I got a 6. For
You got
my
a 6.
highest. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Which means I get that
Alright.
drive back, correct?
So mine's gilded. Is my first? How do I check if the one that I rolled was gilded? Let's see.
Where did you
That's the first one.
I rolled it
yeah,
in Foundry.
the
My
first-
first one
yeah,
was
mhm.
6. Yeah.
6? So that would be your gilded. Yeah, so you can get
And
a
so I
drive
get
back.
my drive back.
Yes, but not the person who helped, unless you
Got
have a
it.
special ability that lets you do that.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, 3 or less. Okay.
So in on your sheet you can see that in this together is your circle ability, which means when you help and the
I
result
get it.
roll is a failure, you would earn a drive back. But
Okay.
otherwise, you only get a drive back. The person who rolls gets the drive back if they take the gilded die.
So basically, if Will helps me, I completely botch the roll, and my highest is a 3.
Mhm.
He gets his drive back, and it doesn't cost him to have failed.
Correct. Yes, essentially.
Got it.
Both of you can get a drive back. If you have like spent a drive and watched the roll, you can
Right.
get a drive of your choice back.
Okay.
All right, so we have a 5 and a 6. With a 5, you you can't quite make out if she is lying on nerves. It seems she's leaning, like your intuition tells you genuine, but there is something shifty about her. You see like her body language is off. She seems to be, as you realize now, she seems to be sort of shifting away from you and back to the fireplace. If you imagine the room as just a rectangle, in the left upper corner by the window, there's a bunch of papers that she went first and shuffled sort of to the side, getting ready to sign whatever papers you give her. And then from there, she's moving to the fireplace, which is in the middle of the wall on the right, so the opposite from the table. And she's kind of
Alright.
shifting towards there as if she is cold. On the 6, Henry, you are certain she is telling the truth about memory lapses and is causing her great stress. You also realize that her mind is, and you've seen this before with victims who maybe have come to you as clients, how easy it is for another explanation to fill the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, this was your bread and butter back in the day of being a con man.
Yep.
You give them an explanation, it jumps into that gap immediately. And this is kind of what seems to be the case with her.
Mm-hmm.
As she sort of shifts towards the fireplace, and you see she's facing away from the window, and she's just kind of keeping face towards the rest of you, shifting towards the fireplace. She says, "Well, yes, the last thing I remember, it was my husband going to work, and then I think I saw him. I think I saw him walking to the house, but I can't remember if I actually saw him or not. I think this is where my memory fails me."
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you remember cleaning up a meal? Was the meal for 1? Meal for 2? What did you plan to have that night that he went missing?
It was. I remember I bought some turkey. I was planning to roast it.
Before you left, was there any left? Surely you're not handling a turkey all yourself. You probably eat small plates.
Yes, probably. That would make sense. I probably made a dinner for 2, yes.
Right. But do you remember cleaning up any bites from a second plate? Any leftovers that got thrown in the fridge?
I remember I broke a plate. I don't remember cleaning it up. I'm afraid to go back, so I don't know. I haven't been back to my house since that happened. I think there was 2 plates. I think I broke one.
Well, before we go,
Mhm.
I would like to get down and kind of like this supportive stance, by her chair. My hands on the arm of the chair, looking up at her, not down at her. And I would like to say, while stress can most definitely cause these lapses in memory, I want you to think, and I want you to clear your mind, breathe in, breathe out. And I want you to grab the fuzziest of these thoughts, the fuzziest of these memories, the one that's just right on the periphery of your mind.
Mhm.
What does it feel like? What do you smell? What do you taste? Using a therapy technique.
Yeah. As you sit down and tell her this, and she's trying to go through it, she closes her eyes. Sheldon, you hear like a shuffle behind the door.
I turn to the door.
Mm-hmm. Well, the door is closed behind you,
Yeah.
but you hear a noise.
Still a door.
Yeah, I'm going to back up and like stand in front of the door with my heels directly pressed against the base of the door and the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
And
maybe
there's-
one and I'm like leaned back in. No one's getting in this room unless I'm moving.
Okay.
If they want to shove a 295 male out of the way, good luck.
And as this sort of impact from your back against the door makes it creak a little bit, you hear a tuk tuk tuk, a polite knock on the door, and you hear an Earth's voice. I just brought you some water. As you realize, she was probably eavesdropping. I'm trying to.
Oh, well, thank you. And I'm going to go and grab the water from her.
Yeah, you open the door.
Does she
She's
have
standing
water?
Does she have water? Yeah, she has a carafe. She has like a carafe of water and a few glasses that she has on a tray, and she gives it to you. Like, oh, well, didn't mean to disturb you. Just making sure that you're all settled in.
When's the
she's
last
right-
time you brought food to this room? Or to Miss Mary here?
Just for dinner today.
If you could bring up some crackers, maybe some cheese. It doesn't look like she's... The plate's a bit half finished.
Yeah, that is actually true. She gives you the tray, and as she sort of listens to you, she tries to look over your shoulder, but you're so massive that she can't. So she just gives you the tray and sort of a little bit disappointingly walks down back into the kitchen. And you hear her yell at Sebastian as you turn with the tray of water.
Thank you, Ruth.
You see that Mary stumbles backwards the moment she sees the transparent carafe of water.
I hide it from her view.
And your therapy moment kind of breaks, and she's water. I think I broke some water glasses. I remember water. He was there, and then there was just water.
It's just water.
And you see she visibly gets more uncomfortable, and like her voice suddenly got rather stern after she says that. She gets almost irritable at this moment.
All right. Now, if you could just breathe for me, we're going to pull you back. Just focus on the flames of the fire. and the warmth of it.
You need to leave.
Of course.
Now.
Of course.
Please. And she gets up from the chair before you're able to finish your session with her. And she gets up and sort of points you to the doors. Please leave now. I don't feel like talking anymore.
Of course. Thank you for your time. We will send the papers. Good luck and do be well.
The two of you, so Henry, Sheldon, you head towards the door. You linger behind to comfort her for a little bit. Thomas. Her form, as you look at her, ripples like water over stones, shifting, shivering, until one final crest, when her body collapses into liquid onto the floor and begins seeping down through the cracks in the floor.
Well, shit.
No bone, no structure, just a puddle of reflecting liquid. I need you to take one brain mark from the trauma of this.
If you could please add that to my sheet.
Done. Yeah.
Fantastic. I do believe we should go, and maybe we should let those downstairs know that Jeff Bridges says that we shouldn't disturb her, and she should get a good night's rest.
Ruth is bringing up a cheese platter.
For who? We have to deal with this.
This is true. All right, so here's what we'll do. The cheese platter will come. We will take it for her. We'll eat some cheese to make it look as though it has. Well, it will be eaten. And then we will say that Mary is demanded rest and that nobody see her at all. And I would like to go over to.
I brought some crackers.
Oh, thank you so much, Ruth. And I'm going to go and, I'm going to be the big man in the door, hiding everything. Thank you so much. The hospitality here with you and Sebastian is just fantastic. Great coffee, too.
All right, so I would like to look at the desk of papers for one. I would like to find something that is written in her hand. And I would like to kind of look over it and then do my best to forge a note. And so the note would say, while I thank you very much for the hospitality of letting me stay here, I find that just remaining in this town itself is a bit too much. I think it is time for me to travel and to see the world and to clear my mind. Yours truly, Mary. And I would like to leave that on the desk. And I would like to crack the window open. And so, or just leave the window wide open.
Jeff Bridges is about to be in a lot of trouble.
Exactly. Jeff Bridges is going to be in very much trouble.
She's run away on a tryst with Jeff Bridges.
Yes. Is there something I would need to roll?
Yes.
In order to make this convincing?
So the first thing you said was you want to go through her papers and find stuff.
Yes.
And so that would be a focus to inspect the papers and find what you need. And the forgery would be normally I would ask you to do a control roll there, but because of the narrative here, the control roll is rather inconsequential. We would just call it one focus roll.
Okay. Yep. So we'll do a focus roll then. I'll add a drive on there. And it looks like my highest is 5. That is the drive.
Okay, so you get your drive back?
Nice. And yeah, so I just, it's a little rushed. It's probably not my perfect work, but I mean, with the time that we have, of course, I do my best. And I leave the note and I look down at this mirrored substance. I do not want to touch the substance itself.
Okay.
But I would like to kind of examine as much as I can from a distance.
Sure.
Because this seems contagious.
So let me first resolve your
Yes.
focus roll. As you look through her papers, you do see a bunch of clippings and notes in her handwriting, and there's like a campus newspaper from yesterday about a person going missing, and that's clipped out, and then a bunch of handwritten notes with like, did I see him by the church? Question mark. Did he come home? Question mark. He went to the library! Exclamation point. Did he come back? Question mark. And there's a bunch of these sort of thoughts scattered as she seemed to have tried to remember things before they slip out completely. With a 5, as you go to, so as you have written the note, you go to crack the window, it ripples the window glass for you. Just for a second, you sort of shake your head, blink once, it's gone. You crack the window open, and as you look at the liquid that's sort of seeping through the cracks of the wooden floor, you see the same effect. Ripples go through. Momentarily, you feel like there is nothing else in the room except you, that liquid, and you're just standing in complete darkness, looking at it. And it's not reflecting anything else. There's no light. But instead, it's giving you a window into something else. And you see Mary's body wrapped in what seems to be a sort of a cocoon.
Oh.
And you withdraw back, and you take bleed and brain from this interaction.
I think we should go, my friends.
But
Mary is not
what
to
I
be
can-
disturbed.
yes, you do realize this liquid is contaminated with bleed. It's seeping with magic, and something. There's something that has taken hold of Mary.
So in gear,
Yeah.
I have. Are these listed things I actually have, like on
Yeah, you
hand
could-
already? Okay,
Yeah, so you can choose one up to 3 from the list.
got it. So if like a bleed contaminant vial could potentially hold some of this puddle.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to do that for like some further study. Just kind of go over.
All right. I'll ask you to do a control check with this.
Okay.
I marked off a bleed containment vial from your equipment. And this will be a control to see if you manage to do it without contaminating yourself, without getting it on your clothing or...
Nice.
6.
Good. That's a 6. So you managed to do it without getting contaminated yourself. You have a vial of liquid that's now on you that you can bring back to Candela Obscura for further investigation of this phenomenon. And then you head out sort of past Mary, or past Ruth, sorry, on the way out, and she says, and Sebastian, you go, what about those grilled cheese sandwiches, though?
Oh, yes, I would love a to-go baggie for that. That would be wonderful if you could. Just
I just hold my hand out.
busy people.
Hey,
All right, good luck. And he just slaps like wrapped into a napkin, just very rapidly, like a paper towel, puts it on your hand
Yeah.
as you rush out.
All right, thank you.
I lean over to Sheldon and I go, Sheldon, can you like jam that door shut? Like, can you kind of break it a little bit so that they can't get in with a key?
Um,
Do you want to do that? No?
I remember this one. I don't
I
really
just don't
have
want them
anything
going in
on
there.
my.
We're not able to clean it up fully, and it's for their own good.
Explosives.
Okay, so we're in the lobby right now, right?
Yeah, we can flash back a little bit and say that
Oh,
you did
okay.
it before leaving.
Okay. I'm gonna look out the door or out the window. What do I
Mhm.
see?
The campus, just the trees and sort of paths. This particular, you can't see much out. This is kind of like a well type of, or half well, or horseshoe, I guess it would be more correct, shaped of a house. So there's like the one you are currently in, and there are a couple like that go along like this, and there's just an opening to the darkness. The streets are still filled with mists, and so you don't see very much beyond 30, 40 feet maybe.
But the window's not like facing towards the front of the building, it's facing towards the back of the alley.
Correct, yeah.
All right. So you guys need to come up with something smart and clever for where I'm at, but I can definitely jam that door. And then I'm gonna go over to I'm gonna go over to the bed and take out my pocket knife, and I'm going to cut some like wedges out of the wood to then like jam the door in
Yeah.
Damn it.
by where the door handle like is.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, fairly low stakes situation. Don't need to roll. I'd say you'd be able to do that, but I will ask you to roll for getting down unless you. So this is second floor, right? You'll have to jump down a few feet. There's a chance you might roll your ankle or land, unfortunately, and limp for the rest of the investigation. So this will be a move roll, please.
All right.
So you have two,
Cool.
and one of them is gilded.
So that means I would roll two of them, correct?
Two,
Two.
unless you want to spend a drive on this.
I'm definitely gonna spend a drive.
Okay, so you spend one drive, and
No, three.
that's 3 total. All right, so you get a failure on your gilded die if you want to get the drive back, but your best result is 5. With a mixed success.
Yeah, I'll take the 5.
So you take 1 body mark from this as you roll your ankle.
no.
Landing a little bit unfortunately, and sort of there is like painful. You're a big guy. You're jumping. There's quite a. So how much did you say he weighs? Like 200.
295.
295. He's
Yes,
he's a big slab of meat.
Yeah. So so 295 is a big strain jumping from the second floor, and even though you managed to soften the landing somewhat, due to your physical prowess, you do sort of feel the painful reverberation through like from your heels and up to your up your legs and into the spine, but you don't get any major damage, just a little hurt ankle.
295 is 133 kilos for
Thank you. That's a lot of
non-Americans.
Yeah.
That was a lot easier
It's 'cause
15
it's an
years
American
ago.
size.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then you reconvene and meet up with your circle members at the front, and they hand you a grilled cheese sandwich.
Thank you.
Do you like the grilled cheese in this trying time?
Mm.
So we should leave. Come now, Jeff Bridges.
All right. And so you have collected the clues from this investigation. You have you can do one more location. So before the climax. So which one do you want to?
I'd say the library,
prioritize.
right?
Okay,
The
you want to go
library.
directly to the library.
Well-
Library is where the climax happens, just above the table
Oh.
talk.
I think
can go
we
to
should go
Gordon's.
to the is that the professor?
Professor's,
Professor Gordon?
yeah.
I want to check out his office.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh,
I
yeah,
would
go
also
ahead.
tell them of my experience. And
Mhm.
be like, so fellas, I think this is contagious. If you see somebody start to ripple, maybe look away and don't look at the puddle of them. But It does seem that our victims are, in fact, alive. They are just not here with us. I saw a cocoon. Mary's body was fully cocooned in this state, this place. However, I also then saw the window do a shimmery thing, and then if you see me start to shimmer, look away.
Right.
Also, come
Will
get me,
do.
please.
All right. So, a quick trip across the campus. You find one of those information boards, find you are here, dot, and then find the location of where the house would be, given to you by the security officer, Horace. You approach his house a few moments later, maybe like a 15-minute walk. You do experience the same weird, disorienting sensation as you move through the campus, and there the pools of water sort of now for you it connects a little bit with that moment where you went into the darkness.
Right.
For the rest of you is just a weird sort of a bit of a headspin, a little bit of dizziness. I'll ask you all to just mark one brain on all of your sheets. I'll do it for you, actually.
So that takes me to a scar.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just before you reach the house, you have to go around one of the larger puddles as you exit the mist into, and there's this sort of trickling faint lamplight for electricity, and the humming sort of begins to pulsate and ring in your head. You have this sensation of when you're falling asleep and you're falling in your sleep, like you're tumbling backwards. That's the sensation you currently have. And the two of you see Thomas just stop for a moment. And you see he's about to faint. You've seen, so Henry, you immediately recognize this, or Sheldon, sorry, you immediately recognize this as a person who's about to lose consciousness. As I said, there is no time pressure of this, so like there's no need to spend any actions or anything. But I will ask you to.
I look away.
Yeah.
Just let me
He's
fall.
gonna faint. He's not rippling.
I don't know that. I don't know. It's weird. It's a rough situation. I don't want to turn into a puddle of water. So yeah, I'm gonna look away.
Yeah.
I'll just
we'll
kind of
need to-
go up and steady him and be like,
Yeah.
we all there?
Oh, the mirrors, reflections. Are they connected?
Oh, thank God he's still there.
What if it's jumping through reflections? What if?
Okay.
No matter.
And-
Let's head in.
Now we need to sort of do a quick take a quick moment here to name your scar. I called it just fear of reflections. Like it's not a deep-seated phobia or anything like that, but you do feel uncomfortable around reflections.
I don't want to look
Kind of like
directly at
Mary
them.
did.
Yeah. And what sort of change to your character should you want to make? You need to take away 1 point from one action and put it into another one.
1 point from one action and into another one. So we're going to remove from my focus.
Okay.
And we're going to put it in my sense because I am going to be trying to not view reflections except for in the peripheral of my view. I'm going to try and keep them away from me. I really like that system. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's great. So you approach you come to, and the three of you approach the 2-floor colonial style house, and stand by the door. The windows are dark. Even though the curtains don't seem to be drawn, you don't see any light coming from within. and the sort of heavy black door with a bell standing there, closed, not locked. And you may enter with a silent, sort of faint creak into stepping into the dark house. And we'll take a couple minute break here.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the episode as much as we enjoyed making it for you. Want to thank Danil again for running it for us. While we're taking this break, I just want to let you know about the Kickstarters that Andrew and I are both doing for Zine Quest 2024. Andrew is currently making his zine Battle School. It is a team-based strategy TTRPG where all of your actions are going to affect your team's action and how difficult the task is that you're trying to complete. It is a ton of fun. In fact, hours before recording this, I played in a play test of it, and it was a killer time. My zine is called Pink Security and More, and it is a junk punk setting that you can use for any system. I personally wrote it with Cypher System in mind, but it is a setting that is about community and kind of rebuilding the world after the post-apocalypse ends and society comes back together. If any of that interests you, please check it out in the link down below. Or you can check it out on our website, www.oneshotstavern.com. Thank you again for your support, and enjoy the rest of the episode.
So, who's going first into the empty dark house?
I'd like to this time be a bit, I mean, knowing now, having seen firsthand what this can be, I would just really like to start tapping more into my sense of bleed, and like now that I literally have a sample of it with me, kind of like not using it as a witching rod or anything, but like if there's something in that way of like trying to feel out any threat ahead of me based on what I've encountered so far.
All right, you can use your bleed detector that you have on your character sheet.
Okay.
So I'm going to select that for you, and you can describe the flavor of your bleed detector, because each investigator has their own sort of mechanism for it. So for some people it might be like a pocket watch, for some people it might be a pen or an amulet or something.
Yeah, I flip over the top card on my tarot deck that was in my pocket and just kind of do that as a way of kind of sensing what's next. And like I'll do a little cardistry to like flip it back to the bottom and then check the next card. And so it's kind of a series of readings that I can just do one-handed while walking around.
Okay. So you pull out your tarot cards and step inside with your two comrades stepping right behind you. Immediately the cards indicate this place is filled with bleed. And as you are focused on looking at your cards, you don't notice that you're stepping into something squishy.
Keeping my head up.
You stepped on 3 large slugs that are crawling across the floor, and now that the 3 of you are stepping inside with a faint bit of light coming from the street lamp inside, you see these just faint reflections on the floor, the ceiling, the counters, the tables, of slugs crawling all over the place, just completely infested.
Oh.
Do we shoot them? I really want to shoot them.
That's not going to be helpful. Why slugs? Strange.
I pull out my billy club instead.
I would like to take a pencil and kind of drop down and have a slug start to walk onto the pencil or crawl onto the pencil and like hold it up. Does it seem to be normal, like just a slug, or is there something odd about these slugs?
There is nothing abnormal about the slug alone as it crawls onto it. I will ask you to roll a sense here, please.
Yeah, sense.
Do you want to spend any drives on this?
Yeah,
This
I'm gonna
is
spend a drive.
We're getting into high stakes territory now.
Okay. So with it being high stakes territory, I am cool under pressure. I can use a cunning instead. So I would like to use my cunning instead
Okay.
of my intuition drive.
Sounds
So
good.
let's
Just
go ahead
one?
and roll that. 6 for my drive.
Nice. Okay, so get your cunning drive back, and
Fantastic.
with the 6, you look at the slug on the pencil and just kind of crawls onto it, kind of envelop in it, and then slides off. You look up, maybe with like a torchlight or just looking at the area where there's more light. You pick up one thing, and that is that where you can see the formations of slugs, they form a pattern. And it's always the same. There are several of them actually. One is formed on the table, one is formed on the wall, and one is formed on the counter, and one is disrupted now by you stepping onto it, but it seems like they're trying to crawl back into this fractal set of curls.
Yeah, so I would pull out my pen. Well, I still have my pen out. I wipe the slug juice off of it, and then take out my notebook and draw out this fractally swirling pattern and be like, "This is quite interesting. How odd."
How
It's just-
bizarre.
Exactly. How bizarre! How bizarre.
It's troll bogeys.
What do you make of this? Either of you, really, but mostly you, Henry.
I'm just gonna like, I don't know, try and literally like connect with them spiritually, like get what sense I can from those slugs, if they're giving me like just old magic or like dangerous bleed puddle stuff that we're dealing with.
It's giving like old magic.
It's
sorry.
giving like old magic.
Sorry.
What is it giving?
Okay, so you can try and do a sense here to attune to the flare and see if the slugs are somehow connected to the phenomenon that you had encountered previously, or if this is something else.
Okay. I'm gilded in this, and then I've got 2 to roll. They're both 5s.
Okay.
So that would not be a success technically. It's the
It is a
next
success.
one. Oh, it is.
Is a success? It's just there is a consequence, and
okay.
in this case, as you look.
Well,
at
I'm curious about bending spoons, real quick. So
yeah.
You can make a sense roll to control an object in the room with like your mind. So I'm kind of thinking like I would like reach out towards this slug and maybe like one of them would just kind of float up in the air a little bit as I try and make this connection with it. And it says on a mixed success, you can take a bleed mark to make it a full success instead.
If you wish to, yeah. You want to do that?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that feels right.
All right. So you try and sort of focus your spiritual energy onto the slug, lifting it up into the air to examine it, bring it closer to you, and also try to understand if there is anything behind it. You're taking a bleed mark, which also means that your lit them in triggers.
That's where I was going with that.
Yeah. So you realize that the slugs themselves are not a product of the bleed phenomenon. They are, however, infested with bleed because they would have probably consumed the contaminated liquid left behind by a victim in this house.
Gross.
Which had caused them to multiply and swirl in these strange patterns.
Okay. Well, then I guess we continue investigating. I can keep flipping tarot cards with my bleed detector, trying to find more of
Sure.
a central source.
The bleed detector would lead you up the stairs. So the layout of the house is the first floor is where you currently are in the entry. Actually, it would not lead you upstairs. It would lead you to the office, on the first floor. Second floor, if you were to examine it, you would only find a couple of bedrooms and another bathroom. And on the first floor, where you are, the slugs seem to be more concentrated around the office door. And that's where your bleed detector is pointing you towards as well.
Okay. So as I approach the door, are there any slugs around the door? Is it like crazy amount of them, or are they mostly in the downstairs?
There's a more of them here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The closer you get to the office, the more you see of these slug pools.
Yep.
Swirling in patterns. Yeah.
Okay. We're about to be stepping into a lot of bleed, so be careful.
Once you open the door, even you hear a little the sploosh of the slugs against the floor as you open the door. They seem to, the ones you have disturbed, seemingly are unbothered and are just forming back into this pattern. Once you're into here, you realize the slugs inside the room are glowing strangely with like this faint, vaguely greenish light. And the closer they are to the desk, the more they're glowing.
Do any of you guys have any idea what the hell is going on here?
Bleed. Well, I would like to make my way over to the desk, being careful to avoid any reflections in the room. Trying
What's
to.
interesting is there is nothing reflective in the room, and the curtains in this one are drawn.
Interesting. Okay, yeah. Perfect. So I would relax a bit, and head over to the desk, and begin to look at the contents on and within.
Okay. I'll ask you to that you can make a choice here, whether that would be a survey or a focus roll.
Maybe a survey, I think, would work well for that.
Yeah.
So I automatically I got a guild. I'm gonna add a drive to this, and we're going to roll it. Well, I'm gonna take my gilded die, but they're all twos.
Oh, okay. All right. So you want to get your drive back? You can get your cunning back, and you start looking through the desk, in and around it, as the rest of you sort of also examining the room. You do see more of these patterns. Momentarily, you do look up just to make sure that there's nothing reflective, and to keep an eye on your friends as well. You reach into the drawer, and as you feel something move up your sleeve, yeah, several glowing slugs that seemingly appeared out of nowhere that begin rapidly crawl up your arm and to the rest of your body. I'm
Yes.
going to ask you to take a bleed mark here.
All right. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Get him off of me.
And on a failure, you'll also take a body mark from the burns as you sort of shake off the slugs. They fall onto the ground, and you experience a vision once again. As you look at the patterns burned out on your forearm, they look similar to the ones that you saw you saw them forming, right? And the burn marks, as you focus on them, start making sense. It starts swirling for you only. Once again, you find yourself in a completely dark room. You looking around, you realize now this is not just complete darkness, this is a basement. You see, as you quickly look around you, you see behind you a set of stairs. In front of you, there's a massive ornate mirror standing just dead center of the room. And as you look into it, you see no reflection. You try to withdraw your gaze from the mirror, you are not able to. This is the only thing in the room. And you look at it, there's just complete darkness, and you fall forward through it and come back to in the room with the burns on your forearm are still itching. And you do hold a journal in your hand as well.
What? There's a mirror in
Find
a
anything?
basement. A mirror in a basement. It's dark, and the mirror is dark, and there was no reflections within the mirror.
Did you see something else?
Yes. This time, this dark room, but the room had physicality to it. It's a location, and there is just a old mirror, oh, no reflection inside, and also I'm holding a book. What? And you said it's a journal.
Yes.
I would like to flip to the last entry in the journal.
Mm-hmm. 1 second. So the last entries of the journal just says, "They don't stop. They don't stop. They never stop. Their numbers grow. Their bodies swell. Their mind whirls." One of my students wanted to remove the artifact from the library basement.
Library basement.
I don't remember it being moved to there. I don't remember it being moved at all. Don't remember the argument with the student. They said it happened. The only thing I feel is the dread in the pit of my stomach telling me all of this is true, but I can't remember. It feels as I am not here anymore. Is it another me entirely?
Oh no.
Every time I try willing myself to go back to the artifact, something within me tells me to leave it alone, and so I do. Something within me tells me to warn people, but how? What if I hold a lecture? Yes, I can hold a lecture and warn everyone at once. I'll schedule a talk talking about my research, and then I'll explain what had happened, and people can stay away from it. And maybe that will help me snap out of my walking dream. And 3 dots.
Getting a very, how can mirrors be real if I'm not real? Jaden Smith. Um, I would start to kind of like feel myself.
Mhm.
There's a slight paranoia now that I am not real. Um, what if, and so I start voicing my thoughts out loud. What if these pools of people are not the people themselves, but rather facsimiles of them? Um, the cocoons. The cocoons. What if they? We need to get to the library basement.
The two of you, Sheldon and Henry, you see Thomas shaking, sort of frantically tapping himself, scratching the burn marks from the slugs, just scattered thoughts exiting his mouth, and then speaks about library basement. What is your reaction?
There's Sheldon, I'm actually worried people aren't supposed to be weirder than me. It's in the name. What are we doing here? Are we doing what the man that's losing it says, or do we try and fix him?
I don't know if we can fix him without fixing the entire issue. Thomas,
Yes,
are you here with us in this room?
I hope so.
Okay. It looks like you're worried about a lot of things right now. Can we take care of them right now, or do we not have the information or the tools needed to take care of them?
I think we need to go to the room with the mirror.
Okay, that's all we
The
need to
mirror seems
focus
to
on right
be
now.
the focus. Yes.
Okay. You're here, you're present, and I like give him a really like kind of too firm like pat on the back, like it stings, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right. So the three of you exit the house, heading towards the library. Is there any final sort of look-see around you want to make at the house, or do you just want to head towards library because that's where it seems the threads of the investigation lead you?
If I'm
yeah.
not feeling any other hot spots with like the reading that I'm doing, then I'm good to go.
That was the hottest, yeah. You do, I would say, no need to roll for this, but just with your bleed detector already out, you would spot a couple of things that you realize are, what's it called? Archaeological equipment
Uh-huh.
that is also has remnants and traces of bleed on it.
Right.
In
So
the
when they
same
dug
loft
up,
room.
I'm getting the gist that when they dug up this artifact, it just started leaking everywhere, pretty much. Tools, people. Now it's contagious.
Perhaps.
Okay. All right.
Mm,
I'm good here if you're ready to go.
No, but we should get going.
Yes. Haste. I
mhm.
don't want to be a puddle, and I don't want to be a cocoon. So,
Okay. We move over to the library, changing scene here, as we see the three of you standing in front of the empty building as the night falls, consuming the city in its entirety. The mist does not reside, and the only light you have is this shimmering electric lamplight outside. The library is a 3-floor building that, as you come to, you realize the doors are actually slightly ajar. You do see posters outside, indicating that the speech was scheduled by the professor. And it says, on Strange Reflections. And it was supposed to happen today at 7 in the evening. but due to Professor Gordon's disappearance, obviously it did not take place. So, ready to enter?
Yes. I still darting away from reflections around me. I say, with the basement, we must get to the basement. I don't know what to do about the mirror.
Can we just break it?
I just
We might be able
gesture
to-
over at Sheldon.
In my vision, I went into the mirror.
That doesn't sound like the right decision.
We could
But
go into the
this
mirror
is
and
where
break
these
it.
people are, and these people are there.
Yeah, I'm not so sure we go jumping into a mirror anytime soon, because that's not gone well for anybody else that's gone where
Well,
they
we don't
are.
know if they've gone in or how they've arrived there.
Look, step one's containment. This is not a rescue mission yet. We cannot get into the hero game. That's not what we do. We help, but
If you insist.
we're not going to put more people in danger by worrying about a couple people. This is about containment. You don't let this
Alright.
stuff get out of control.
Of course.
It'll be fine, Thomas. We'll do what we can for these people when we figure out the situation. But Henry, in a very brief, accurate point of clarity, is correct in this instance. Because you're weird.
Well, let's because you're weird.
You're a very weird person.
Then let's go see.
Okay.
But don't look directly into the mirror.
Mhm.
I think it might be too late for me.
You step through the heavy set of double doors that give in surprisingly easily and step into the lobby. And as you close the door behind you, it disappears, turning
That's not
into
supposed to
a
happen.
wall. There's just a solid wall behind you. Okay.
Hit the wall. Does
Eyes
it
up,
feel like a
everyone.
solid wall?
You can touch it, yeah.
Okay.
What do I feel?
You mean how? Like, do you sense any bleed, or do you just
More on the bleed. Yeah, I guess. What am I sensing in that way?
You sense bleed covering everything, everywhere. It's dark in
It's
here.
white noise.
Yes, essentially.
Okay.
It's a little bit hard to focus. It's a little bit overwhelming.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to give you all one brain mark for the increasing stress of the situation here.
Okay.
As you enter, you realize you're in a strange place with no exit in sight. You look around, there's nobody in here. There's no light. There is a... it looks like there's a reception desk that doesn't have a receptionist standing behind it. There are rows of tables and chairs, all of them just kind of standing weirdly. And as you scan the room with just your gaze, you see that all of them are covered in this strange, slimy liquid that's kind of just slowly drifting off of the surfaces. In the reception area, you do see you would be able to realize you will be able to find some information perhaps on the various locations within the library and a map if you need it. But you also see that there has been everything's been set up for a speech. There's a small stage. There's rows of chairs, and what's kind of creepy is that it's all like set up for people. There's not a single person, and there is this slime. That's just reflecting the faint bit of light that seeps through the windows.
Absolutely.
And the slugs are just kind of crawling. You see these slain slugs that you saw at the professor's house.
I would like to put one slug into my containment vial since they seem to be not just at the professor's house.
Right.
So just get in there, little guy.
Troop, troop.
I guess I'll approach the stage and see if I notice anything or where are there any exits to this room, period?
Okay. I'll ask you to make a survey roll for me, please.
Okay.
And you have your skill called basic training. This is a high pressure situation, so you can make a survey roll in dangerous place, adding a number of dice equal to your current nerve resistance. And your nerve resistance is 2, so you get 2 extra die just from that. 2 extra dice from that, for a total of 3. And that is a 6.
Nice.
All right. So you look around. What you see is that there are these sort of maps layered out on the reception desk. And on that desk, you realize there is an exit marked in the janitor's closet.
Are the maps slimy at all, or do they seem to be not covered in
Oh yeah,
slug goo?
There's slime drooping off of it as you pick one up. So there's a stack of them, and so you pull one that's drier.
Okay. I got the bottom one. This says exit, but I don't know if we actually want to exit yet. Do I see any path going down to the basement at all, or do I just see other doors marked?
Yeah, you would see where it indicates the entrance on the map as well.
Okay. I also know how to get to the basement. If I kind of give Thomas just a lingering look, just making sure that Thomas is okay. Are you guys ready to get in some deeper trouble? And now I pull out my handgun again.
Just be watching me.
Okay.
But yes.
All right. How do you want to proceed moving forwards towards the basement? Do you want to try and be quiet? Do you want to go as fast as possible?
I think quickly is best.
Okay. So here's what we're gonna do. Quickly will be here a move roll, and this is because moving through the strange, disorienting space of the library with slime covering the entirety of the surfaces is a somewhat difficult path.
Okay.
So I'll ask. Let's do just this. Let's do one person who leads the group across the almost labyrinthian sense of the library. Looking at the map, looking around, is sort of sometimes it doesn't match up, and it takes a while for the reality to warp back to how it expect to be. So let's say that maybe. Why don't you take the lead on this, Sheldon? I think you're the best at moving in the first place, so you have the map.
All right, it looks like we're going to be going through this door here, 2 lefts and a right, and
I'm going to use one of my drives to help.
Oh,
To help. Okay.
Let me throw another one on there.
Yep.
It's already a 6. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any critical success kind of conditions, like all
Yes.
6s or something?
There is. If you roll 2 or more 6s, that's a critical
Oh,
success.
okay, gotcha.
Cool.
And that means that you accomplish what you set out to do, plus you get to choose like a minor benefit.
So that's why it's worth, always rolling for another drive.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Will, you have a choice here. You can take the 1 if you want to gain the drive back, or you can just go with a 6. Do you want to willingly take the failure?
We're gonna go with the 6.
Okay.
It was a bit more chaotic, and like, just give me the 1. Let's fail this. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You get the drive back, but you're about to use it again.
That's right.
All right. So, as you push forward, leading the way, sort of sticking to the map, momentarily you have to stop every now and then to just regain your senses in the darkness. And the closer you get to the basement, the more you realize that and this is especially uncomfortable for you, Thomas, because as you get closer to the basement, you see it seems like perhaps the slug slime has firmed up, turning into a glistening reflective surface, similar to like an obsidian glass.
Yeah.
Thankfully, you have Sheldon firmly leading you forward, now taking this sort of military or law enforcement training taken over. You are perfect at working in stressful situations, leading men when they're struggling. So you managed to lead them forward towards the door in the basement, towards the basement, which is also, unfortunately for you, covered in this reflective surface that when you approach it, what you see, Sheldon, is a reflection of yourself, but it doesn't mirror your movement. It just stares at you.
I don't like that.
It has a smile creeping up to the side.
Don't you smirk at me. We're coming.
As you say, we're coming. The reflection steps out of the wall surface, and it's like a figure that's made of molten wax. It has your face with this angry smirk that grows wider than humanly possible, just revealing just a black maw. And it starts like moving towards you as it grows and takes in the slime around it. Like with every step, it gets bigger, and there's this slime like appendages growing on it as it charges towards you. What do you want to do? You have the initiative here, as you rolled pretty well. You were somewhat prepared for this.
Blasting.
Oh gosh. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but also I'm just gonna shoot the kneecaps. Like,
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I think, yeah.
Go ahead and take your heavy weapon. Then we'll do that.
Mhm.
And what is your weapon of choice?
It's
The bazooka.
it's a billy club, but it's like 3 times too big. Like or maybe 2 times too big. We got to be discreet. So it's just a very large billy club that also has
cartoon billy club.
yeah, but like Henry has taken it from me like quite a few times, and so like there's like runic carvings on it and whatnot as well. I don't know what they do, but it seems to hurt things. And you may have looked like me, but you're stronger than me. And then I'm gonna.
Okay, you go and charge back at the strange version of yourself. That will be a strike. This is definitely a high stakes roll. It's a strike, which means you have 2 dice just to start with, and then you can improve your odds by adding drive if you wish.
Don't know if I want.
How do the resistances work again?
If you fail, you can reroll.
Got it. Right. So
That's
first
right.
you would roll, then you'd get to try.
Correct.
Can I? Is there a limit to how many drives I can throw into something?
No.
Okay, we're
That's
gonna.
as many drives as you can, I guess, is the limit.
Okay,
So you
Well-
can't spend more than you have.
I'm gonna put on 2, so I'm gonna be rolling 4. Double sixes. Ah, wait. Does anybody want to add anything before I actually roll this?
Good question. Yes.
I'm gonna
You-
save mine. Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't have- I
I'm
have
barely
one left.
hanging on over here.
Okay.
All right.
I just want to do a pause because we've been going pretty
Okay.
quick. Double sixes. Oh no.
That is a 4. Okay. So as you go to strike at the creature and it charges towards you, the two of you sort of stay behind. So what are you actually? How are you actually reacting to this? I'm going to ask Henry first. Thomas is probably a little bit messed up by just this happening, because like everything you thought you were being paranoid about is coming true.
Right, yeah.
So how's Henry reacting to this?
Just like kind of as a I think I'm impacted impacted by it pretty psychologically in this moment as well, where it's like the experience with such an overwhelming bleed just kind of leaking into reality in that moment kind of just like hits him really hard, kind of shell shocked. But as I'm kind of regaining focus from that moment and seeing Sheldon kind of getting in there just to do some work, I just I think I'm going to use my last gear
Okay.
and I don't know if it works like this, but I'd like to use it on occult text. And now that I've like seen so much throughout the investigation and I've got this little sample, like maybe I've got something that I remember reading in this book that I had when we were last back at the office in between stops or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second, but let's now resolve what Mr. Fraser is doing as you're charging forward with a massive club. So this is a case where you could spend resistance if you wanted to try again in 6. You would only be re-rolling 2 dice though, and you take the new result.
I'm definitely going to do that.
Okay, I'm going to mark off 1 resistance from your sheet. And you just roll 2 more. That's a 6. Okay.
Let's go.
Do you
Fantastic.
want to narrate how you sort of readjust your movement, or do you want me to go ahead and do it for you?
Yeah. So, as I go to charge him, I kind of slip on some of the slime on the ground, and I use that to like push myself into a longer stride, and I kick his knee, which causes his back foot to fall, and he drops to a knee, and then I billy club the other knee.
Nice.
I picture that like running and then slipping on a banana peel in a cartoon and then just like leaning into it.
That's
and
exactly
then,
what
like,
happened.
winding up along the way
Yeah.
with your cartoon billy club.
That's right.
And so we see Sheldon sliding forward towards the strange creature, and as you impact the knees, there's no crack. There's just a like a wet splash of slime going in all directions, and then a sound of shattered glass as you realize the sort of the firm surface around the door has a crack into it that goes like and the passage towards the basement is open.
Is the entity still there, or did it kind of all collapse when it got hit?
It all collapsed.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
As it hit the floor with the breaking, the splashing
Splash.
of the.
Got it.
Yeah, it all kind of spread out, and you see, as you look to the sides, the several slugs rushing towards those locations.
How do you do deal with like damage in
How
the
do you mean?
like? So in that case, he came in and he did essentially a test against the creature. And this was like kind of a one tap, like he was able to
Yeah.
take it down in one go because we're focusing narrative. How do
Mhm.
you deal with like, I don't know, more attrition on an entity if you wanted it to require, like, do you say
Mhm.
like it needs to be hit 3 times successfully, no damage
E-
involved, or what?
Exactly, yes. So
Okay.
this is just narrative. You sort of assess the threat
Yeah.
that the phenomenon presents, and based on
Okay.
that, it might require more than one success to deal with. Sometimes for lesser threats, partial success would be enough, and then you just take damage. So in this case, for example, this is a lesser threat. I would even resolve it on a partial success. So your first roll would be like you would be
Okay.
halfway there, but you would take bleed damage from it or
Got
body
it.
damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So
So
there is
yeah, I
that.
guess to the passageway.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. As you open the door into the basement room, the first thing that you see is actually not what, but whom. You see on the floor of the room a person.
Is it me?
No, you don't recognize this person. Or I guess maybe if one of you had flicked through the missing persons dossiers back at the
It's
office,
the student.
it's the student, yes.
Mm.
Um, Sal. He steps forward, and as he tries to say something to you, he steps forward, and out of his mouth is slug comes out instead, splashing forward, and then he drops to his knees, and then in two sort of movements, drops
I turn
down
away.
and just continues puking out a settling amount of slugs. And you realize that his body kind of deflates as it hits the floor, as if he's been eating from inside out.
Gross.
It's not healthy.
But as you look up from his body stepping past, you realize he's past any form of help or saving him.
He's a slug pinata, is what you're saying.
Yeah, kind of. In the worst way possible. You step into a dark basement room. And it's just littered with a bunch of artifacts along the walls. But deeper down the hallway, along on a pedestal of sorts, there is a large mirror that stands there. The one you saw in your vision,
Yeah.
Thomas. And you can't help but look at it.
Yeah.
How long does it take for us to notice that Thomas is just eyeballing this thing?
I would say probably Henry would notice faster as you kind of just more intuitively attuned to
Yeah.
people.
And then just bringing it back up, as I'm noticing this happening with Thomas, my occult text thing, was I able to get anything more of that informationally?
Yes, you would be. You would have realized, sort of going through, now thinking back to it, you found some research. You know that the professor was an archaeologist. You know there is a mirror. You know the effects, sort of the reflective surfaces in this. So there's a very limited amount of research you would be able to find on this. But the first deduction that comes to you is this is probably from dig site number 347, which is a notorious notorious excavation site that was opened about 50 years ago. It was a private expedition to Old Fair to excavate one of the areas that wasn't cataloged, that hadn't been cataloged to that day. But there were like several dozen people that went on that expedition, and none of them came back. The site was mostly warded off, but people do still make incursions into that area. You figure the professor probably went there and dug something up that should have remained buried, and it must have been this mirror. You realize also that the mirror is not a mirror; it is a portal of sorts. It is obvious to you now that the three of you are looking onto its surface, which is it's just to understand the scale. It would be if you were standing next to it, it would be towering even over Sheldon. It's about 7 feet tall. The sheet of glass is reflective, and it's just kind of there's nothing to indicate that there's anything holding it up. It's just hovering in the center of the room. And the surface of the mirror is that of that melted glass that's taken over parts of the rest of the library. And it reminds you immediately of that liquid that the people dissipated into. The entire room is coated in slime, and as you sort of all standing there gleaning into the reflective sheet, you do see a sort of strange alien landscape shimmering through behind the reflection. And there are egg sacs and cocoons.
The cocoons, that's them. That's the people.
There's also egg sacs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
I'm worried about the egg sacs.
well,
Do you think we just break the portal? I mean, that does
I
mean
don't want those eggs hatching.
I
But
completely
I
agree.
understand that if there's people in the cocoons, those eggs are hatching, and the first thing they're eating is what's in the cocoons. I don't believe that they're still alive.
they might be though.
I'm more
I-
interested in those eggs not hatching.
I don't know if I want to bank the life of every student in this college against 3 people. I mean,
I might be in one of those cocoons.
you haven't
You're right
melted,
here.
so and
Well, I'm not saying don't save people. I'm saying save as many as you can.
Especially me.
Right. But
But it does seem like you'll have to come together and make a decision really fast, because once again, the reflective liquid-like surface of the mirror starts materializing into a form of a massive creature that steps out. It has several limbs, and this supernaturally extending maw. There is no eyes on this thing. There's no face. It's just one black mouth that opens, producing a horrifying sucking noise as it seems to suck the air out of the entire room. You feel paralyzed for a brief second by its appearance, and it produces this noise and drops on its 6 limbs like a strange spider-like or insectoid creature with just the empty black void of a mouth opened and facing towards you. It begins charging. So
I'd like
Through
to
this
pull out my pistol
Mhm.
and just absolutely unload on whatever this creature is.
Okay, go for it.
And since
Um,
this is probably a high stakes roll,
very, yes.
yes, I'm going to use my cool under pressure.
Okay, this is a control check for shooting. Yeah.
Yep. So control for shooting, and then I am
Mhm.
going to use 1, 2, 3. I'm going to use 4 drives. Let's use 4 drives.
4 drives. You'll be down to 1, effectively. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
2, 3, 4.
5 total.
Better hope guns work on this.
6 for my drive.
Yeah.
And of course I'm going to take that one to get one of those drives back. And yeah, it was a 1, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6.
Okay. So the as the three of you stare into the faceless features of the strange beast charging towards you, Thomas is the first one to pull out the pistol. You've had enough of today, and you just you unload the entire clip towards it. The bullets does seem to hit it, but they get stuck sort of in this slimy, thick skin that it has. As it continues charging forward, it doesn't stop it. It does seem to hinder it, but as it sort of presses itself down against the floor and jumps up into the air, it's charging towards you now with a leap. You take final 2 shots from your clip and roll over to the side, and it lands only so that one of its claws effectively hits you. You will take 1 bleed and 1 body mark.
All right, that bleed knocks me out.
Okay, so you gain a scar, and the two of you see Thomas go limp on the floor, and they're sort of, you see the slugs begin to crawl towards where his body is lying.
Oh, and one of the success that I had, the dice that I chose was drive. I believe I get 1 drive back in cunning.
Nice, cool. Think for a second what your scar is going to be. So we have Henry and Sheldon then going first. So your option is either to help Thomas up, or to go and strike at the creature, or try to contain it somehow.
Do I see an oil lamp anywhere in here? Or like anything like that?
No, it's completely dark, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Are you like thinking fire?
Yeah, because I have a lighter on me, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you would see you see an electric box.
Okay.
You see an electric box, like the control box, where a bunch of wires would be available to you if you want to charge your weapon or something like that. If that's what you're thinking. Do you have gear available?
Yeah. So like I have a handgun, I have a heavy weapon. I was going to see if we could get an oil lamp out, because I was just going to grab that, huck it, and then throw the lighter after it.
Let's call this explosive on your gear list.
Okay.
And you'll have it available, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I walk forward and I see an oil lamp that's just like right on the desk. It's very dark, but I can vaguely see just the shimmer of off the glass. I grab it with my left hand, light the lighter with my right, toss it, and then throw the Zippo, following it onto the creature, and then yell, "Henry, get Thomas!"
Yeah, so I'm gonna run over, slide over to Thomas, and just kind of like hold his head and like look at his eyes and just try and see if he's still all there or if it's more physical.
Okay, we're about to find out. But first, could you roll a? I would say this would be a control actually for Sheldon.
Okay.
So you have 2. Do you want to spend any drives on this?
Yep, I'm gonna spend 2 drives on it.
Okay, sounds good. So that brings you up to 4.
contemplating whether I want to do another one. Yeah, we're gonna do it. Full send.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't roll 5. Let me roll
Okay. Let's see if you get another 6.
Come on.
No,
That's
it's
okay.
a 6. All right. So the lamp goes flying. You throw the Zippo. Momentarily, the flash of warmth and light fills the space as the oil spills over the monster, and it's now on fire. And screeching out with this continuing sucking noise, with like a choir of voices. Thomas, on the floor, you wake up to Henry trying to get you up, and the first sort of as you open your eye and take a breath, the first thing you hear is this choir of noises of screeching voices. You swear one of them sounds like yours, before you actually snap back into it. And tell us how your scar looks and what you want to change about yourself.
He's shaken. And
Yeah,
so for him,
not stirred.
he's a little less put together.
Mm-hmm.
And so the sense that he had gained is now gone, and it is going to go to move.
Okay.
In order to I need to be quicker, I need to be faster.
All right, that makes sense. Goody, you are up. Henry, you see that Thomas gets up and his eyes begin sort of darting from from space to space around you. He seems present. He's here. It's him. So what do you want to do now?
As he seems good enough, I just kind of look around and trying to get any sort of tactical assessment. Like right now we just have the creature that kind of
Correct.
came out of the mirror. Is there still a mirror?
Yes, it is still there.
And the creature seems primarily engaged where right now?
It's like a little off to so when it charged towards Thomas, he rolled off to the side, right? So you're a little bit off to the side, and right now you see it's where essentially you were a few moments ago, and it's now on fire and screeching outside of in the center of the room.
All right. I'm gonna pick Thomas the rest of the way up, and was like, "All right, we'll
I heard
try
my
and get you
voice.
back, but I think we may need to do something about this mirror right now. We're either smashing it or you're going through. What are you doing?"
Jumping through.
All right, so I'm just gonna get him up, and I'm gonna move him over towards it, and I'm just gonna maybe from my side try and like keep a psychic connection with him, or like make sure to maintain. I don't want to drop my friend down a well without a line out, and so like I want to do whatever I can, whether that's like metaphysically or physically, to make sure that he's not gone.
Cool. I'm going to say this then. Why don't you, Henry, make a sense roll for me to attune to try and establish the supernatural connection, like a thread between this world and Thomas as he goes into another
Okay.
dimension. High stakes.
Gonna be, rolling. You said sense, so this is
Yes.
I have 2.
Yeah.
Can use 2 drives.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. Okay.
That's a 5. Okay. So
It's a 5.
Mhm.
That's my gilded die. So does
Yeah.
that give me the
Drive back. Yeah.
point back? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so as you sort of try and focus on your occult texts and remember remember how to do this particular ward, or how to create a thread, a lifeline, if you wish. Thomas, you dive into the portal, and you feel this mental link established between yourself and Henry. This is a moment where you'll have to trust a person you had always sort of doubted and like undermined. So I'm going to say you would take 1 brain here.
Okay.
Whereas you, Henry, this takes a little bit of time. This takes a few moments, which is enough for the monster to realize that you're going into its home, and its instinct is to defend it. It charges back towards you, still on fire. That's now sort of going off a little bit. It's charging towards you, and you feel a sort of a warm slash of strange claws. First, it's very hot, and then it's very cold as you feel impact against your back. You're going to take 1, 2 body marks and 1 bleed mark.
Okay.
This gives you, however, a moment, Sheldon. As the creature's turning away from you now and is charging towards the mirror, where you see Thomas disappeared into its strange surface, and Henry is being now attacked by the monster. What do you want to do?
I'm going to. How much taller is the monster than me?
It's about 7 feet tall, kind of lanky.
Okay. I'm going to charge towards the monster, and I'm going to wrap my arms around its ankles and try to make it fall over. And then if I can do more things, I want to take my billy club out and just go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Okay, this will be all 1 roll, and it will be a strike for this one, as a melee fight breaks out between you and the monstrosity. So go ahead and make a strike roll. This is a high stakes. You have 2 by default.
I have 1 other drive I can put in. I have 1 more resistance, though, so... Oh, let's go ahead and use that resistance.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So you roll 2 dice.
Yep. Oh, it was 3.
What?
Yeah, you rolled 3, but you only rolled the amount of dice equal to your initial rating, which is 2.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, do I reroll both of those then, or just 1?
Oh. You roll 2 more d6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's the new result, whatever it is.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
All right. So, as you go and engage into melee combat with the creature, it is now fighting with new ferocity. On a failure, you're gonna take a 3 body marks, putting you at a scar. You can, however, get 2 drives back because of your adrenaline rush ability. So for each mark you take, you may immediately refresh a drive point of your choice. So do you want to refresh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Nerve?
Yep, nerve.
Okay, you get 2 in nerve. Great. And you see, sort of first, you feel like you're about to win this. You grab the creature, you jujitsu it's over, you jump over it, and you sort of start hitting with a club. The slime goes flying forward in all directions. And then you feel that you can't bring it down. You see one of the limbs of the creature is grabbing the club. It pulls it, rips it out, and then all 6 of these limbs crush your body, and then it opens its mouth and it begins sucking your soul out as you also take 3 bleed marks here.
Jeez, I just went full Dark Souls boss on you.
Yeah.
So
That's 2 scars.
yeah, that's 2 scars. Yeah.
Yeah.
So So you're out, unconscious now, and
Yep.
okay, Thomas, you dive in. You see several cocoons. You see 3, and it seems like there are 3 more forming, but they are empty at the moment. But through the webbing on the 2 that are currently there, you do realize they have sort of vaguely humanoid features perking through. How do you want to deal with that?
I want to pull out a knife and try to cut into into their cocoons gently. Right, I don't want to harm the people within. I want to make sure whether or not they're alive or dead.
Okay.
And if they're dead, then I'll probably try to abandon this place. If they are
Okay.
alive, then I will try to make sure that I can get them out.
Yeah. All right. Well, this will be a control for finesse with a knife and like trying not to injure and just
Yep.
doing fine movements quickly.
I'll go ahead and use my remaining 2 drives and cunning.
Okay.
5 for the highest, which is a drive.
Mhm.
And no resistances in nerve.
The 5 is the highest. Let's see. So as you are cutting through the cocoon, you realize the body inside it begins to move. As first, you see the professor's face. He's actually a rather tall chap, and so takes a full breath. But you see that he's completely drained of life. It seems like there's no any sort of indication of color, and he's just kind of completely out of it. So you'll have to drag all of them out. But one by one, you're able to do it. However, as you are going through the cocoons, your hands. You only spot this while you're cutting the last one. They're covered in this strange webbing that begins to wrap around, and you swear they begin to move like tentacles. So I'm gonna have you take a couple of bleed points here.
All right. If I get
But you-
injured in any sort of way, it's over, you guys. I've got 2 in everything.
All right. So Henry, you see Sheldon struggling against the enemy, and his soul is currently being dragged out. It's at this moment you hear a thump behind you as Thomas stumbles out with 3 bodies. Kind of, he's holding them. They're kind of moving forward, but they seem like they almost have their facial features erased of their faces. Like somebody's gone over with an eraser, and there's only barely any indication of their presence there. Your friend, however, is you're about to lose him. What do you want to do?
I mean, I'm about to lose Thomas, and it's not like Sheldon's in a very good situation either.
Sheldon's worse, arguably. Yeah.
Okay.
That's true, because he got
He's
hit
getting his
hard.
face sucked off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So under sense it says channel. Is there is that like manipulating of like the magics that are currently at play? Is that casting a spell? Like what is that?
All of that. So, for example, if you want to attune to, or if you want to sense to try and close the portal, you may do so.
Okay.
In your occult text, there would be descriptions for rituals such as this one.
Right. I'm thinking that's probably still my goal. I know my friends aren't doing hot. But hopefully I can close the portal and that'll help us. That's the goal.
All right, go for a sense roll then. This is highest stakes you've ever have probably.
Yep. I'm using. Whoops. I'm gonna use my last 2 drives in intuition, and I have 1 resistance. So We'll
All right,
see how that
if
goes.
you do fail. All right. So
Yep. So
2
I'm
drives, that's
rolling
total of 4.
4. Okie doke.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, let's go.
That's a critical, and one of the 6s is on your gilded die, so you do get
Indeed.
intuition back as well. All right. So, do you want to describe how the ritual looks, or you want me to just?
Yeah, so like I just flip through the text and I see some of the iconography on like a monolith from the dig site
Mhm.
347, and I just start to kind of cross reference that with some of the other notes I had already scribbled down when we were taking the readings, and the different card reveals that I had when we were detecting this specific bleed. So I write down the Hierophant, Death, and the other cards that flipped over, and I can begin drawing the glyphs in the air. And as I do, it just begins to I take the piece of paper that I wrote most of this down on, and I kind of like hold it up as it floats in the air, and just kind of floats over towards the portal, sitting almost like on a pool of water, just a tissue almost that's floating that just begins to burn from the inside, and
Mhm.
then burning and closing the portal.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, you realize that this particular creature is so attuned to its home dimension that closing the portal actually makes it disappear. And as the portal begins to swirl, the creature gets its mouth off of Sheldon's face, turns back, seeing this, and you see that the slimy outer parts of it begin to get sucked into the portal itself. It actually turns around, screeches one last time, and jumps into it, with it closing behind you immediately. And the mirror turns into a mirror and then shatters in an explosion. However, none of the glass shards go flying. They freeze in the air. And then, just one by one, from being frozen in the air, they fall down onto the floor with a just shattering glass hitting the floor. Sheldon,
Yes.
let's talk about your scars here. You got 2. So so you have a physical mark and one from magic. How do they look and how do they reflect on your character going forward?
So I think that as he was sucking my soul and face out, he popped an eye.
Okay, so you're
So
one.
just
Oh wow.
and then as far as the bleed, I guess I don't really know what would be a good application to that. Maybe now because he was so close to that ectoplasm, whatever you want to call it, that he like gets glimpses into um, the shadow realm with his remaining eye that will sometimes like just show the shadow or the reflected version of a space, and then it like flashes back, which causes him a lot of anxiety,
All right.
and so he's definitely a bit more trepid about everything now. Yeah.
All right. So I'll name your scars then missing eye and then otherworldly eye. So
Okay.
it's like part of the same injury, but 2
Mhm.
different sides to it. So to an average observer, you just seem like a person who's missing an eye, but it actually gives you some ability. And what sort of action changes do you want to make here? You can make 2.
So I think it would make sense to have for missing eye. Uh,
Minus
Maybe a
survey.
-1 to movement, or no?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
survey makes the most sense there, actually.
yeah. Survey, and you want to put it into sense?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one of them. And then the second one would be from 2.
From the anxiety or whatever.
Yeah, from the bleed.
So with the minus focus.
Minus focus, okay. And
Yeah.
into
Sense.
okay, both into sense. Interesting. Yeah, well, it makes sense though, as you are more supernatural attuned now than focused on the world. And the 3 of you make your way out of the basement. As you go past the electric box, you turn on the lights on the entire building, and as the lights come on with the dun, 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 you realize all the slime is gone, all the reflective surfaces are gone. You're just in a normal library. That's a little bit in a rough state. And as you exit from the basement, you do see at the opposite side of the hall the door out of the library. But congratulations on concluding your assignment, which you did so successfully.
So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed that episode and enjoyed the actual gameplay content as much as we enjoyed making it. It's one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing, is to learn these new games and to absolutely have a blast while doing it and sharing it with you. We want to try out as many systems as we possibly can. So if you have a suggestion, go ahead and comment it anywhere you can find our socials. We will add it to the list 100%. Like always, make sure you follow the podcast, subscribe, like, comment, and of course, share it with your friends, because word of mouth is the best way to share a podcast. Thank you guys again. Take care.